It's a gorgeous day for baseball in the Valley of the Sun, Hohokam Park in Mesa, Arizona. It's the spring training home of the Oakland A's, and that's where we are at today. It's the A's, and it's the Seattle Mariners exhibition baseball coming up right here on NBC Sports, California. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to a new season of Oakland A's baseball here on NBC Sports California, along with Dallas Braden. I'm Glenn Kuiper. We are thrilled to be here getting ready for today's game. And shortened spring training, Dallas, shorter time for starting pitchers to get ready, but I don't think anybody in the A's uniform is really worried about Frankie Montas. The big fella's going to be ready to go in a couple of weeks, and he's coming off what was a great 2021 season.
Yeah, as soon as that stable door opens, this stallion's going to come out ready to run. Frankie put together, in my opinion, a career year. I think you can just look at the numbers and deduce that yourself. 13 wins on the season, but the 187 innings, the punch-outs, he finished 6th in the Cy Young voting. This man is raring to go, Kuip, and I can't wait to see what's in store.
All right, he's going to try to get to 60 pitches today. We'll see if he can do that. Lots to talk about this afternoon. Trades, new rules, a new labor agreement. Dallas and I are going to do our best to cover it all and see what we think about all the new stuff that's going on, not only with the A's, but around Major League Baseball. A's baseball is back. It's the A's and the Mariners from Arizona. To Hohokam Park in Mesa, Arizona, as we get set for spring training baseball, the A's and the Seattle Mariners, two teams that'll square off 19 times in the regular season. Dallas Braden, Glenn Kuiper. It is a gorgeous day in Arizona. You say that a lot this time of year, but low 90s, it's nice and warm, and this is perfect spring training weather.
It really is. I woke up this morning, took a little stroll around the hotel. It was fairly early, and the temperature read about 78 degrees. I knew I was in for a good one. Knew I was in for it, Kuip. It's a beautiful day in the desert. Baseball is back, at least for you and I. First time back on the waves. I couldn't be more excited.
Well, we talked a lot during the lockout, you and I, and we were frustrated like everybody else, but we also talked about how much we were looking forward to doing our first spring training game, and it is here, and we are indeed looking forward to it. And really, it's time to go. The season is less than 2 weeks away, so spring training for the players, it's spring training for you and I as well.
Sure is, and we're getting to that point right now. You see a great shot of the skipper there, Mark Kotsay. But you kind of alluded to it in the open, where pitchers are getting a little deeper into their routines, getting closer and closer to that final mark, getting ready to break camp. So there's a ramping up, if you will, of the competition really across the board, and expectations for guys across the board as well.
Well, the A's take the field behind Frankie Montas, and maybe they're doing it for us today. They're sporting the Kelly green tops. Man, that is a good look. We missed that look, but it is back as Frankie Montas is going to be set to go, but we're also told that they wear these all the time. So
I like where your head's at.
You know what I'm thinking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just want to figure they're doing it for us. So Montas, the 29-year-old right-hander, is set to take the mound. We always look forward to Frankie starts. We expect him to have a very good year. And this is the Seattle Mariners lineup that he's going to face. It has some changes, and it has some pretty good additions to it. Starting with Adam Frazier, he's going to play second base. Ty France at first. Jesse Winker, the new left fielder. Mitch Haniger is your DH. Eugenio Suarez is at third base. Kelnick is in center. Watch this guy. Julio Rodriguez, one of the top 5 prospects in all of baseball. We're going to get a chance to check him out today. Torrens will catch, and J.P. Crawford is your shortstop.
The man on the mound today for the green and gold, Mr. Frankie Montas. And you mentioned it, Kuip, an outstanding year last year. We're talking about a campaign that saw him finish 6th in Cy Young voting. So the 187 innings, the punch-outs, there's nothing that you just can't not get excited about with Frankie Montas on the mound. An electric fastball, devastating split, and this, I believe, will be another campaign year, another career campaign year for Frankie Montas.
So the defense behind Frankie Montas, the A's will look like this. Chad Pinder's in left. Christian Pache, we're looking forward to seeing him track it down in center field. And then Sky Bolton right. Smith, Andrews, Kemp, and McKinney around the infield, with the Gold Glover Sean Murphy doing the catching. So we are set for baseball on a beautiful afternoon in the Valley of the Sun as Adam Frazier steps in. Frazier, the left-handed hitting second baseman. And Montas delivers, and that pitch a touch outside, so we're underway. The numbers for Frazier this spring. He will be the Mariners' everyday second baseman, coming over in the trade from the San Diego Padres. Padres got him at the trade deadline last year from the Pirates.
That's right.
Pretty good hitter.
We think about adding some contact, adding some bat-to-ball skill at the top of this lineup with some of their other additions.
It's hit past the first baseman McKinney down the right field line. Frazier hits the bag at first. Sky Bolt digs it out, gets it in quickly, but not before Frazier has a sliding double to lead off the ball game. It was a smash at McKinney. You do whatever you can, but you also want to survive.
You're just trying to knock it down. That's a bullet off the bat there, Mr. Frazier. And this is kind of what I was talking about here. You got somebody at the top of the lineup that can maybe see some pitches, but also offer some serious bat-to-ball skill, trying to get things going here early. And that's what Adam Frazier has done.
So here's Ty France. France worked his way into an everyday job last year. He can hit.
Well, I think there's some thump as well. See, he's got one homer on the spring thus far. When you start talking about the addition of Frazier at the top of the lineup and some of the guys coming behind him, this Mariner lineup starts to take on a little different complexion than maybe in years past.
France poke swing foul. France last year, 291 with 18 home runs, 73 runs batted in. That's a good year, and he bounced around the diamond a little bit. France is the kind of guy, wherever you play him, third, second, you need to get him 600 at bats.
Yeah, well, I think that's the goal. Is a guy that you can move around, guy that offers you a little flexibility. Typically, the reason is because that bat plays, and you're just trying to find a place for him.
Flare to center, right center, it's going to fall. Pache gets to it, fires it back in. He holds Frazier at third, but the Mariners got something going against Frankie Montas here in the very first inning. First and third, nobody out.
But you know, Kai, what I love about what we just seen from Pache there is not only his ability to read the dinker off the bat, but how he's able to get around this ball, come in, strong throw to the cutoff man. And if there were any thought from Mr. Frazier to try to keep on coming home, you're talking about a guy out there, and we're going to talk about this a lot this season because we're going to be treated to some dynamic efforts. This is an 80 grade defender out there in center field. They don't just hand out those 80s.
Here's Jesse Winker coming over from the Cincinnati Reds. Big, strong left-handed hitter. Taps this one foul. But when you say 80 grade, there's a grading system that baseball people give out, and it's 20 to 80. Okay, just follow us on this. If your grade is 50, you're average.
Yeah.
When I say average, I'm saying major league average.
Right.
60, you're above average. 70, you're all-star material. 80 is double elite.
80, they start talking about putting up a statue out in front of a ballpark.
And you just don't see an 80 grade, whether it be for hitting, power, running, arm. You just don't see an 80 grade very often. Mike Trout would be an 80 grade hitter, right?
Yeah.
Vladimir Guerrero would have 80 grade power.
Yeah.
Well, Pache defense has an 80 grade. So you will not see a whole lot of people better than this young man in center field. So we're looking forward to watching it. Christian Pache. Quick look at the umpires for today. Corey Blazier, Rob Drake, Eric Bacchus, and Paul Emmel. So they are getting ready for the season as well, the umpires. 1-2 the count to Jesse Winker. Frankie Montas is scheduled to throw 60 pitches today, and that's very closely monitored. And when he gets to 60, maybe 62, 63, it doesn't matter where the game is. He's probably going to be out. So the math equation is pretty simple. 60 pitches today, 2 more starts before his first regular season start. So the next one 75, the last one 90. Boom, you're ready to go for what looks like maybe game 2 of the season. That's what we're hearing. That's not official as far as how the A's are going to line up their starters. But
no, and that what you take away from that is the up and downs, meaning how many times is Frankie going to get up, out on the mound, sit down in the dugout, up again.
Kemp's got it, spins out at second, throw back to first, and that is a double play. Run comes in to score. But in that case, I think Frankie Montas will take the trade-off of 2 outs for a run. So the Mariners grab a 1-0 lead, but now the bases are empty with 2 outs.
We're all into deals, Kipe, and I'll take a 2-for-1 any day of the week, twice on Sunday. It's a great effort by Tony Kemp here, who had a little bit of a tough time trying to get that ball out of his glove. But Elvis with the strong throw over to first, and you get your 2-for-1.
So with 2 outs, here's Mitch Haniger. But finishing up on Montas, that is generally where you want to be, right, Dallas? When you make your last start before the regular season, you want to be 90 to 100.
Yes, because that's talking about now you, as we mentioned, you open up the gate, you hit the ground running. That first start, there's really no restrictions, no pitch count monitoring of any sort. And with a guy like Frankie who can handle the workload, I mean, he looks like a fellow that can roll out of bed in December and give you 7-8 strong.
Facing Mitch Haniger. Frankie Montas, 6'2", 255. He is a big, strong fella, 29 years old. Racked up 187 innings last year. 32 starts for Frankie.
Well, that's a nice number there. Take the ball. Yep. Every day it's handed to you. Man the post.
207 strikeouts. So he went over the 200 strikeout mark, which that's a significant accomplishment nowadays for starting pitchers, because you just don't see guys pitching 220, 230 innings anymore. You see a lot of starters, even if they're not missing any starts, the number is 175, 180, 185 as far as innings pitched go.
Well, that's the thing, is you want the opportunity to get out there and finish innings, and sometimes you might be in a situation where a team is just looking to sort of maximize your best stuff, and that might be in a smaller window, meaning you might not have the opportunity to roll out there and finish a 7th or an 8th inning. So you have to be efficient in that body of work as well, which Frankie has done.
Haniger got a hanger there, and he rips it into the left field corner. Haniger will pick it up, flip it back in, and that's the 3rd hit here off of Frankie Montas in the 1st inning. So the double play looms large for Frankie Montas.
Well, I think it's just a matter right now of the Mariners very early here in the ball game is done, taking advantage of some mislocation, which again, spring training, you're still ironing some things out, but that's going to be something to focus on for Frankie, is making sure that he's able to put that ball where he wants early on. And they're able to take advantage.
Here's Eugenio Suarez, the new 3rd baseman for the Seattle Mariners. That was quite a trade they swung off not long ago, getting Suarez and Winker. I mean, that's 2 pretty good offensive players. Got those 2 guys from the Cincinnati Reds. Suarez has lots of power.
Well, that's
31 home runs last year, but the batting average under 200. So there's some holes in the swing, but he's got big power.
Well, he came into the season last year talking about, and we're talking about Suarez here, wanting to hit 50 homers. I'm going to hit 50 balls out of the ballpark, which I'm all for goals, but sometimes you wonder if being focused in one area kind of takes away from another area. And I'm not saying that's what happened, but to your point of hitting, I think, 198, 31 homers, you can kind of see how that worked out.
Good pitch. Dang it.
But with the addition of Winker, who's got some thump all his own, you plug in a Suarez behind him, and now we're really starting to see how this lineup, when going well for the Seattle Mariners, could provide some threats all throughout that lineup.
Gave up a couple of young starters, did the Mariners. Also Jake Fraley, an outfielder, gave up those 3 for Winker and Suarez. Frustrated the Cincinnati Reds fans a little bit, I think. Well, they felt like it was a salary dump.
Yeah.
And maybe it was.
I think the way that Jesse Winker kind of burst onto the scene, and you hear the drive and the desire from Eugenio Suarez to not have both of those fellas in your lineup. I can understand.
2-2 the count to Suarez. So a fairly long top of the first inning for Frankie Montas, which you never really like to see in spring training, but you got to get your work in. He's at 23 pitches. Again, keep in mind, 60 is the number today for Montas. That one's hit deep to left. That one was way out here. Got out in a hurry. So there's the power from Suarez. And it is a 3-0 game in the first inning. So some pitches up. I know the pitch to Haniger was a hanger.
That's really the problem. It's much like the temperature here in Arizona around this time. Pitch up, just kind of sitting in the middle. We let you know about the power from Suarez, nothing you weren't aware of already, but he put it on display there. Scott Emerson will come out and have a little bit of a chat with Frankie.
So here's Jarred Kelenic. Young outfielder playing center field today.
Another prized possession of the Seattle Mariners here.
You're okay, come on.
There's a lot of talk about Kelenic and timing of him getting to the big leagues and what kind of impact he was able to have. Did go through a rough stretch, found his way back to AAA.
So not that time for Kelenic. Montas, a long first inning. He gets out of it, but the Mariners do some damage against the A's right-hander. They score 3 times. A's come to bat. We come back. Here's the A's lineup for this afternoon. It's going to start with that guy, number 5, Tony Kemp. Kemp's going to play second base and lead it off, followed by Elvis Andrus, Sean Murphy, Seth Brown. Brownie will DH, then Henderson left. Smith at third. We're looking forward to seeing Kevin Smith. Billy McKinney's at first. Pache's in center, and Sky Bolst's
They're going to be taking on the young 23-year-old right-hander, Mr. Matt Brash, making a strong bid for a rotation spot. Did make his way up to the big club last September. Did not see any game action. But from what our dear friend Mike Riz lets us know, Matt Brash, good fastball. And as I said, really trying to make his impression felt here in spring. Rick Riz, excuse me, trying to take off with that big club when they break camp.
Yeah, Brash has a chance to be in the rotation if he were to put together a good spring. They are that high on him. Matt Brash, 23 years old. Kemp, pop up behind second. And it's Adam Frazier who gets back there to grab it. So that's out number one. Let's take a look at the Mariners defense behind Matt Brash. Jesse Winker, the new man in left field. Kelnick's in center. Julio Rodriguez is in right. Suarez, Crawford, Frazier, and France. That will be their starting infield with Luis Torrens catching. Here's Elvis Andrus, second year with the Athletics. For Elvis last year, really got off to a slow start offensively for the Athletics. And that's not uncommon when you get traded, new team. Even though he's a veteran, he's been around, he can handle all that stuff, but it's not easy. You're just trying to get used to everything when the only thing you've ever known is one organization.
Well, and something else you got to consider with Elvis is the role that he plays in the clubhouse as a veteran player here, especially amongst a group of young fellas trying to make their way. Sometimes your own production can take a back seat to the impact you're trying to have and making sure guys are going about their business the right way, making sure that they're trying to get better each and every day. And what Elvis represents just by being present in the room is exactly that. So when you look up at the end of the year and you consider how things started for Elvis, you really appreciate the work that goes into each and every day between the start and finish of that season.
This is the 14th year in the big leagues for Elvis. His career batting average is .272. His batting average last year for the A's was .243. And not that time for Elvis Andrus, who strikes out. So that is out number two. We are glad to see Elvis Andrus healthy. Remember, he got hurt at the end of the season at kind of a strange play right there. He hurt his ankle, and it ended up being a fairly significant injury, and he was lost for the right at the end of the season, but he scored the game-winning run, but it was at a cost.
Well, it was, yeah, on a broken wheel. And again, that just kind of speaks to the toughness of a guy like Elvis.
That was the 25th of September, so again, I mean, right at the end. But he's healthy. Kind of the glue to the infield this year. 0-1 the count to Sean Murphy. Murphy hitting the third spot.
You know, Kev, I had an opportunity to catch up with Elvis this offseason out at an event out in Texas with our good friends at Warstick. Former teammate of his, Ian Kinsler, but that was exactly what I wanted to know about, is just how you feel it, not only physically but mentally, you know, overcoming this injury at the end of the season. And he couldn't be more excited about the work that he had already put in and how he was feeling physically. He just wanted to be in a position once he got to camp, you know, no pun intended, but to hit the ground running.
Murphy drives one to center. Kelnick in a little bit over, and he makes the catch. So Matt Brash with a 3-up, 3-down inning. We're through one from Mesa. 3-0 Seattle.
Oh, baseball is so back, in spring training. Single game tickets for games through April 4th are on sale right now. Hohokam Stadium is a great place to catch a game and cheer on the green and gold. So get your tickets today and don't miss your chance to see the A's right here in Arizona. Tickets at athletics.com.
It's worth it, folks. Nice look at Hohokam Ballpark. That's the A's 8th year here in Mesa. 2015 they came over after the ballpark was renovated. Cubs were here for a long time. Cubs got a new ballpark just up the road, Sloan Park in Mesa. A's took over this one, and a renovated it, and I got to be honest with you, going around to all the other ballparks, and they're all have slight differences, but I truly believe that this is just from a simple watching the game, enough amenities, plenty of parking. This is one of the better ones, I think.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more, Kite, because when I go around, whether it's the Cactus League here or down to the Grapefruit League in Florida, I'm really paying attention to the fan experience, because that's what I think these games are all about here for the fans. Can you have a good time at the ballpark? Can you see the ball game from everywhere you're at?
Julio Rodriguez gets caught looking. So that is out number 1 here in the second inning.
Well, good to see Frankie making those adjustments. That first inning initially, pitches kind of up, pitches more in the middle of the strike zone. Here he just paints one down and away on the black. Not much at all Mr. Rodriguez could do.
So here's Luis Torrens. But when you were with the Athletics, your spring training home was Phoenix Muni.
That's it.
And that is now the home of the Arizona State Sun Devils, and it has been for a while.
Yeah, what the guys have available to them here and now, as opposed to Phoenix Muni, is just an ability to get your work in really without having to leave the ballpark. And that was something that we would do, take off and make our way to Papago, just down the street. But we pulled into the ballpark this morning, and, you know,
Tailgaters.
9:30, 10 o'clock.
Awesome.
Tailgaters. Love to see it.
Pache, Bolt, and there he is. Christian Pache with a terrific running catch. A little snow cone, but he hangs on. He covered a lot of ground.
Boy, did he.
We'll see a lot of that, folks. Get used to it.
Well, initially, I thought that might have been a ball that Sky Bolt would have been able to corral, but with Sky Bolt's speed and athleticism, you can see Pache shaded to the right center gap. Hat flying off, a little bit of a snow cone. Like that ball almost tried to find its way out. But just an outstanding job of tracking that ball in a high sky.
So 2 away for J.P. Crawford.
Round of applause from Frankie.
Crawford, a big bouncer, just foul. But if you come down to spring training, and A's fans, a lot of them do, and you come to this ballpark and you see a game, whatever, but also if you get a chance, just head down the street, maybe a mile or so, and check out the Lou Wolf Training Center, which is at Fitch Park. That's where the minor leagues are, and that is state of the art as well. It's terrific. It's just down the street, like maybe less than a mile.
Not even. And again,
it's a great place to hang out if you just want to go watch the minor leaguers, see what they're doing, even if you do it for a couple hours.
Sure. Well, the close proximity, again, serving the club very well, with guys able to get mobile. You know, if you want to go over here and get a little work in or whatever it may be, the opportunity is definitely there.
That's it. Point pitch.
When the A's first year in Oakland was 1968, they actually had their spring training that year in Bradenton, Florida. But since then, they have been right here in the Valley of the Sun. Spent some time in Scottsdale and then over at Phoenix Muni.
I was going to say, I can appreciate that move. And that's, again, one of the perks I think about spring training down here in Arizona, the Cactus League, especially, again, thinking about the fans, the proximity of clubs. You know, and I did this about a week and a half ago. Watched an Angels game in the afternoon, caught a Giants game in the evening with a couple buddies who were Giants fans, but just being able to take in 4 big league teams, see 4 big league teams and their prospects all in a day.
much harder to do in the Grapefruit League in Florida, just because the towns and the teams are spread out more.
Yeah.
And that is not the case here in the Phoenix area. Good pitch and a pretty good take by Crawford. He gets the 2-out walk.
Frankie trying to get JP to fish for that slider, it looked like.
Second baseman, number 26, Adam Frazier.
So top of the order, Adam Frazier, who led off the ball game with a double into the right field corner, and he scored.
I tell you, the Mariners fans are going to have a lot of fun looking at Frazier and JP up the middle.
Yeah, Crawford is settling in nicely and becoming a very good player at shortstop, and then you get the veteran Frazier. Frazier can bounce around too. He could play you a pretty decent left field, or maybe even right field, maybe even center if need be. Mariners have a surplus of quality outfielders, so they may not need to put him out there, but they could if they needed to, and he would be fine out there. In fact, he played quite a bit of outfield with the Padres last year.
And he fits that bill of that player that every team wants and desperately needs, in my opinion. In Oakland, we have our own in Chad Pinder, a guy who allows everybody else on the team to be as good as they can be, because he has the ability to slide in, give you an off day, and you don't ever feel like you're losing anything as far as production value is concerned. Chad Pinder, I think, with a really good opportunity to see some of those everyday at bats.
One and two the count to Frazier. So 44 pitches for Frankie Montas. It was a 27 pitch first inning that has that pitch count up there a little bit. Montas' first start was Tuesday against the Kansas City Royals. He went 2 2/3.
We see at times right now it looks like Frankie's just a little quick, meaning that front side is working its way down the slope. His arm might not have quite enough time to catch up. We saw him locate that fastball earlier against Julio Rodriguez. Try to get back to that release.
Tapped foul. That's a good pitch there. That's that Montas splitter that's become probably his go-to pitch. Combine that with 98, that's a nice combination.
Devastating.
When he's got it going on, I mean, he can rip right through a lineup 3-4 times without a problem.
Well, he can, because he can lock you up with locating just the fastball if he wants, not to mention the wipeout secondary offerings. Make life really, really tough for a hitter like JP Crawford. Might have worn that right in the head.
Outfield shaded toward left center for Frazier, who sprays the ball around pretty good. He's got himself a base hit right center field. Crawford can run. He's going to round second. He'll make it easily to third. So 6 hits now for the Mariners against Frankie Montas, and that's frustrating for him because he got the first 2 outs of the inning. So your immediate thought is, hey, I got myself a real good chance to have a quick inning when you really needed a quick inning, and now you got first and third.
All right, working a little bit for Frankie and just kind of getting back to that location, especially late in the at-bat. You got 2 strikes. You're trying to make your pitch. This fastball just kind of leaking back over, and a professional hitter in Adam Frazier Not trying to get too big, not trying to power the ball out of the ballpark, just trying to put the barrel on it.
So runners at the corners for Ty France. And France has a base hit right field, jumped on the first pitch. It's going to knock home Crawford, and it's going to give the Mariners a 4-0 lead. So France shows the ability to hit the ball the other way, and we have seen that now from him for a couple of years. And he knocks in a run with a 2-out hit.
Just trying to use the whole field. You figure maybe Frankie Montas struggling a bit. Going to try to get ahead early. What's Ty France do? He's wait, pulls the trigger early. And as you said, Kite, just trying to take what's given to him, hit it where it's pitched.
Chester Pimental, right-hander, getting loose. Now, one of the spring training rules, and we're not saying it's going to happen today, but it could, if a starting pitcher, in this case Frankie Montas, is having a real long inning to the point where the manager's like, I got to get him out of there. He can take him out, bring a new pitcher in, and then if Montas hasn't got to his pitch count yet, he could send him back out there in the third inning.
Yeah, that's a nice luxury.
I think it's a great idea. And that one is drilled to right. Sky Bolts with a nice running play to his left to end the inning. A run on a couple of hits for the Mariners. They lead 4-0 as we head to the bottom of the second. Pick the winner of every team's opening day game and compete to win $100,000 with MLB Opening Day Pick'em. See rules and enter at MLB.com/pick'em. Restrictions apply. The A's will open on April 8th in Philadelphia, so East Coast swing to start the season. There are some teams that are actually opening on Thursday, April 7th. The Red Sox and the Yankees open up on the 7th. Most of the teams will be on Friday, April 8th. So we're looking forward to that. The A's will travel. They will leave to go to Philadelphia from here in Phoenix. And we'll be on the charter. We're excited about that.
That's it.
We haven't traveled in 2 years. So it'll be fun. We're looking forward to the 8th in Philadelphia. Great atmosphere there. Very good team in the Phillies. And that is how the A's will start the season.
You better bring your lunch. Because that first series, I mean,
yeah, need to be ready to go.
Yeah, Philadelphia has made some additions that rightfully so I think they're excited about.
2-2 the count to Seth Brown. Seth Brown DHing today. He'll be followed by Pinder and then Kevin Smith here in the bottom of the second with the A's trailing 4-0. That's Mark Kotsay, the new manager. We all know that. What we didn't know is he's not feeling great today. In fact, he is being a gamer because we were told his stomach's feeling a little iffy. If my stomach feels iffy, I'm on the couch at home looking for sympathy. So he's not 100%, but he's going to be here for a while anyways.
You ever get that sympathy, Kite?
Never. That is not happening, but I will continue to try.
That's all he can do. That is, you're right. Mark Kotsay, a guy who, I don't know too many folks that love baseball more than him, and there was nobody, and I promise you, nobody more excited about getting this season going than Mark Kotsay.
Yep. First opportunity as a big league manager.
A well-deserved opportunity.
3-2 now to Seth Brown, facing Matt Brash. Fouled straight back. Good swing by Seth Brown. This is how the A's will open up this season. And we talked about 3 in Philadelphia, but look at the rest of the opening road trip. Phillies are good. The Rays, yeah, they're pretty good. And then the Blue Jays. That is a brutal 10-game trip to start the season. And if you look past that, Dallas, 17 straight games to open up the season. So after that road trip, which is going to be difficult, 7 at home. Brown strikes out. So the beginning of this 2022 season, listen, is it going to make or break the whole year? Probably not, but I think it's important because those teams you're playing, they will be ready to go. You better be ready to go.
Yeah, well, that's it. You're going to be challenged out of the box. I think Mariners fans getting a good look here at Matt Brash. High-octane fastball, able to get Seth Brown to swing and miss. But you are going to be tested if you're the Oakland A's right out of the gate. There's always talk and conversation about, you know, you can't win a division in the first month, but you could lose a division. And, well, that's when you look at scheduling. I think what you take note of is exactly what you said. You have to be ready the minute you break camp, because those first 3 series, you will be put to the test.
1-1 to Chad Pinder. Pinder fouls it back. A's will play the National League East and interleague play, obviously starting with the Phillies. The A's will have 3 double headers, and those double headers due to the fact that the season starting a little later than it was originally scheduled. So 3 double headers for the A's. A little bit high. Here's Kevin Smith, one of the new Athletics.
Hey, Dave.
And that is a strike 3 call. So Pinder strikes out. Back-to-back strikeouts for Matt Brash. And here's Kevin Smith. Our first look at him. Last Sunday, Smith against the Guardians homered. So I've been wanting to get a first-hand look at this young man, Kevin Smith. He came over from the Blue Jays in the Matt Chapman trade. He's got 3 pitchers and Smith in that deal, and Smith has a little bit of big league time, Dallas. Can play around the infield a little bit, and he has a legitimate chance to make this team and play a lot of third base.
Well, I think you're right. And I think with his ability to move around the infield, I think that's going to serve him very well, as much as we talk about Chad Pinder and his flexibility and what that provides a manager when he's filling out the lineup card. You got a young fellow who you just get in a trade for a pretty important piece. You want to give him the opportunity to maybe entrench himself in a position that's comfortable for him. And if you don't have anybody sort of anchoring that third base position in this, what I have dubbed an era of opportunity for these young fellas, this is a great moment for him to anchor himself.
Now, they played in 18 games last year for the Blue Jays. Had 3 hits and 32 at bats with a home run, so a little bit of playing time, not a lot. Big bouncer to Suarez at third. The throw low, and France could not dig it out. Looks like it maybe hit off the heel of his glove. So Kevin Smith is aboard with 2 outs. Should be an error on the throw.
Yeah, Suarez does a good job of getting that big candy hop, coming around it. See him pump and then just come up short, and Ty France unable to get the web on it. And you said it, partner, right there in the palm of the glove. That'll keep the inning going.
So indeed an E5. Here's Billy McKinney. Yes, that is the Billy McKinney who was the A's first-round draft pick in 2013. He was the 24th player taken in that draft out of Plano West High School in Plano, Texas.
Well, just one of a few guys that has found his way back to the green and gold.
Yep. McKinney has bounced around quite a bit. Yankees, Blue Jays. Last year, Brewers, Mets, Dodgers. Ended up getting 300 plate appearances last year. Hit 9 home runs. But with 3 different teams. Billy McKinney. And he's got a chance to play some first base for the A's.
We figure between him, Seth Brown.
Quick throw over there and getting back is Smith. McKinney was traded by the Athletics on July 5th, 2014, and this was a big one. The A's traded McKinney, Addison Russell, and Dan Straley to the Cubs for Jason Hamill and Jeff Samardzija. And that was a big deal.
It sure was.
A's got 2 starters, Samardzija and Hamill. And then remember, the A's would then turn around the next offseason and trade Samardzija to the White Sox for Marcus Semien. So all in all, it turned out to be a pretty good deal for the Athletics.
Say it worked out.
Sometimes it takes a couple more transactions to get a full grade on a trade, but yeah, I like the Semien deal.
Yeah, I think it worked out. I think it worked out.
So that is how Billy McKinney originally left the Athletics organization.
Well, you know, sometimes I think players can unfairly have a stigma attached to them if they move around a lot, that they just couldn't stick here or there. And I like to think of it as you are someone who has always been able to factor into somebody's future plans. And that label isn't fit for everyone.
Ball's hit hard toward first. France is right there. He's got it, and that'll do it. Smith is stranded, and we've played 2 innings from Mesa, and the Mariners lead it 4-0.
Tickets to see the A's this year at the Coliseum? Well, now is your chance. The A's have a limited time sale going on for 10 voucher Flex Tix plans for the 2022 season. Get 10 Plaza level Flex Tix vouchers for just $199. Flex Tix can be redeemed for any available game this season. So to take advantage of this great offer and get your 10 voucher Flex Tix pack today, you go to athletics.com/tickets and they'll help you out.
Top of the 3rd, Mitch Haniger to lead it off. Frankie Montas has not had an easy inning yet. Gave up 3 in the first, 1 in the second. He's allowed 6 hits. And he's at 51 pitches, trying to get to 60 today.
Well, you know, Kai, this is an inning where you can sort of try to apply a regular season game type mentality where maybe early on you've scuffled, but you were able to kind of figure things out and get through the next 4 innings or so, and you find yourself knocking on the door of a 6-inning outing, and maybe if you can get a few outs, you might be able to buy yourself that extra inning. So for Frankie here, knowing that pitch count monster is looming, if he can get through 3 guys here fairly quickly, I think it's still an outing that you can walk away trying to have built some confidence from.
So pretend it's the regular season and you're trying to get through 7.
That's it. And it's kind of that liar's game that you play with yourself, you know, because if you take a look at maybe how the outing has gone thus far up until this point, maybe not a ton to be excited about, but if you're able to end it with a good taste in your mouth, that's the sort of confidence that you try to take away. You eliminate those bumps and bruises and you take the positive.
And there's positive as he gets a good hitter in Haniger to strike out. 3rd strikeout for Frankie Montas.
Because what you really want to do is you really want to walk away, having good feel for the fastball. Have you been able to put it where you want for the most part, location-wise? How do the secondary pitches feel coming out of the hand?
Here's Suarez, who homered in the first. And this is it. It was a Kind of a high line drive.
Well, it was squared up, no question. And it did get out in a hurry. 112 off the bat, 95-mile-an-hour fastball coming in.
Good pitch there, and it's 0-2 to Suarez. Last year, the A's finished with an 86-76 record. The Mariners finished 90-72. The Mariners got hot second half, and they kind of shot right past the Athletics, and the A's just could not do anything about it. And the problem was head-to-head.
Yeah.
The Mariners went 15-4 against the A's last year, and if my eyesight and math was correct when I looked it up, they won the last 12 games against the Athletics.
Yeah.
Nice play. Throw to first. Kevin Smith takes a hit away from Suarez. Nicely done.
Do it, Smitty.
Now batting for the Mariners is center fielder number 10.
Problem is if you're trying to take over for Matt Chapman, you got to make that play.
The fans have definitely been
Yes.
spoiled with a gold glover, a platinum glover at third base, but Kevin Smith here able to lay out glove side, gather himself, dust it off, and fire a strike over there to first base. Billy Mack with the stretch.
Kelnick hits one high and deep center field. Pache circling and on the warning track, and he made the catch. That, folks, is not an easy play in the Arizona Sunshine. We'll be back. Athletics 4-0, our first interview of the day. We're excited about it. It's Scott Emerson, 6th year as the A's pitching coach and his 20th year with the A's organization. Emo, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We're doing good. It's our first game, and we're just psyched to be announcing a big league baseball game.
It's great to be back on the field.
So you watch Frankie Montas as the pitching coach. Looks like he got right to around 60 pitches, which was his number. What was your evaluation today of Frankie?
Well, you know, one thing, you know, with spring training being so short, you know, normally you're asking the guys to go out there their first 3 outings and just kind of move their baseball around and throw a lot of strikes. And you know, with camp being short, Frankie's only going to get 3 starts, but he went around and he threw a lot of strikes today. Obviously, the results weren't what he wanted with the 4 runs and the 6 hits, but I like the way he threw the baseball and put it over the plate. And now it's just about putting everything together, his pitch sequences, and you know, the first couple games, you know, we don't go over really scouting reports. We just let the guys kind of get their stuff and get their arm right, and hopefully tomorrow he feels great about his body.
Well, now, Emo, that was something I was kind of hitting on, was how you try to compartmentalize some of the bumps in the road early on in an outing and really try to take away the successes and allow that to build a foundation going into your next start, really going into the next work week, if you will. And it felt like Frankie there at the end was able to get the life on the fastball that he was looking for and was able to kind of put it where he wanted. What will those conversations look like maybe later today or tomorrow between you and Frankie moving forward into his next outing?
Well, you know, that next outing has got to be a little bit more about results, going after the hitters. You know, we'll probably mix in some scouting reports and put the game plan together because he's only got 1 more left. But, you know, Haniger hit the 3-2 split. We threw a 3-2, another 3-2 off-speed pitch for a walk. Those are things that he's going to have to do in big league games when the season starts to you know, be productive. So, you know, you got to work on it somewhere. But, you know, overall, I was happy about the strikes, the ability to throw strikes. Now, you know, there's a difference between command and quality command. And today he threw strikes. And, you know, as we move into that season, we got to get that quality command back.
2-0 to Sky Bolt as we talk with A's pitching coach Scott Emerson. And Emo, when you found out the lockout was over and then you looked at the calendar and you went, oh, that's a month. I got to get my guys ready. What were some of the thoughts you had, and how quickly were you and the rest of the staff able to kind of put together the game plan for not just your rotation but all your pitchers?
Well, you know, I had that game plan ready to go, you know, before the lockout was even over. I was erasing days as we were going along, and about 6:15 after the lockout was lifted, Mickey Morabito called me and said, hey, we want you to go to Arizona tomorrow, and we got some bullpens. Guys are out there already preparing, and then ding, 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 here comes all the calls from the pitching staff. Some guys sending video, telling me where they've been at. And, you know, you always want to see the guys throw with your own eyes. You know, some guys have had 2 and 3 ups throwing to college hitters or inter-squad games, but, you know, you got to see them with your own eyes, and it's very important that you do that. So, you know, I was just kind of erasing days and working backwards and trying to get our guys into games soon, but also be cautious about getting them into games.
Well, now, whether it's rotation spots that might become available or it's spots down in the bullpen that might become available, with some young fellas who have an opportunity to sort of take advantage of those opportunities, what has been the message from you to them?
Well, you know, for me, it's always, you know, people probably get sick of saying this, but it's about strikes. If hitting's timing, pitching is disruption of timing, being unpredictable, and having that ability to throw something other than a fastball and a fastball count, and having that ability to command that fastball. And those are the guys that you're ultimately looking for, because that makes you a sustainable pitcher. You know, you don't want the guy going out there throwing 100 off the backstop and you know, now he can't play baseball because he just can't compete and can't throw strikes. So the message has always been, let's pound that strike zone. Let's change speeds. Let's be unpredictable. Let the fielders work behind you. And I think that's, you know, that's kind of been A's baseball and A's pitching philosophy since Dave Duncan was here. And, you know, I take good pride in that, you know, that's who we are as a pitching staff, that we're coming to get you, and we're going to throw strikes and we're going to change speed. So that's been the message. That's, you know, that kind of why, you know, I got mixed reviews today on Frankie. Obviously, like I said earlier, the 4 runs we're not happy about, but I'm very happy that he threw strikes, and I know Frankie gets his arsenal together, he'll be good.
All right, Emo, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it, and get that group ready, because 10, 11 days, we'll see you in Philadelphia, all right?
Thanks for having me.
All right, Scott Emerson, A's pitching coach, has been our guest. We'll come back to Mesa right after this.
Back, and the start of the 2022 regular season is just around the corner, fans. So join us at the Coliseum for the A's opening night, where the Green and Gold take on the Baltimore Orioles Monday, April 18th. Opening day tickets start at just $15. Get them in, you fans.
Well, we talked about that first road trip, which is a long one, 10 games, but then when they do come home to start that initial homestand with the Orioles, you got the Orioles for 4, the Rangers for 3. Then you go to the Giants for just 2. Back home, you play the Guardians for 3 and the Rays for 3. So get through that first road trip, then you have actually a nice stretch of home games, and your only road trip is across the Bay Bridge. So the schedule does even out.
Yeah, that trip across the bridge is digestible, all things considered. You're not too far from home. Just get to sleep in your own bed.
Exactly. New pitcher Zach Jackson, he takes over for Frankie Montas. Zach Jackson last year pitched in Double-A at Midland and Triple-A at Las Vegas. 25 appearances for the right-hander. Right over top, kind of a herky-jerky over-the-top motion as he faces Julio Rodriguez. We mentioned Rodriguez's name briefly. I've been really looking forward to seeing this kid. He is considered by most, if not all, one of the top 5 prospects in all of baseball. And on top of that, he's very close to the big leagues.
And on top of that, he's got one of the coolest best friends going in Ichiro Suzuki.
That's right, they're tight. So Julio Rodriguez is going to be in the big leagues soon, probably this year. And because he's going to be playing for the Mariners, the A's are going to see a lot of him into the future. He is supposed to be special.
Yeah. Well, as I was talking about the relationship he had with Ichiro, when you think about who...
Pache comes in to grab it.
When you think about who Ichiro is and what he has meant, not only to the Mariners organization, but to the game of baseball. This is a guy who has an expectation of himself. I don't know that we will ever see Ichiro Suzuki not in a baseball uniform, not having an impact somewhere. And for Julio Rodriguez and Ichiro to have formed the bond that they have, you know, it starts with playing catch, becoming a throwing partner, working in the cage together. But the fact that he has shown up day in, day out, and I'm talking about Mr. Rodriguez here, and has tapped the shoulder of Ichiro day in, day out, it's that consistency that Ichiro talked about impressing him. Because sometimes guys have a tendency to show up and be really excited and anxious about maybe getting some work in. And then as camp goes on, that can kind of waver and take a back seat to routines that start to develop on their own.
Near the A's dugout, off the top of the dugout. So what you're saying is, if Ichiro's around, listen to him.
Yeah. Yeah. And Julio has taken advantage of every opportunity. And again, that just, even as a youngster, that just speaks to the desire to get better.
0-2 to Luis Torrens, the catcher. Now the Mariners, after what they did last year, finishing 90-72, they were just 5 games back of the Astros. I mean, their expectations this year are really simple. We're going to the postseason.
Yeah.
Now, matter of time whether that happens or not. They think they have enough after what they did last year and the additions they made. There were some subtractions. They lost some people, but they feel like the additions they made, there's enough there to push them over the top. That combined with a really good minor league system. So I think the future is probably pretty bright in Seattle.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of reasons to be excited. We've seen the young right-hander Matt Brash show you some outstanding stuff. The prospects littered throughout the lineup.
2-2 the count to Luis Torrens. Yeah, the Mariners went 19-10 in September last year, and in the second half 42-29, so they really turned it up. To Elvis Andrus, who's got it. And listen, I'm going to admit that I said it, and I think a lot of people around baseball said it. At some point they're going to slow down, right? But they never did.
It didn't happen,
right?
It didn't happen.
We talked about it many times last year. It's like, well, the Mariners, boy, they're having a good week, and then they're having a good 3 weeks, and they just in the second half they just never slowed down. They just kept pushing, and they were really close to making the postseason.
Well, I think a lot of that came from us watching what was happening in our own ballpark or in the ballpark that we're playing the Mariners at. And you're thinking, again? Just felt like you couldn't buy a break. And look, we're talking about a club who won 90 ball games with a negative run differential of about minus 50. 51, somewhere around there. So you're able to put together a 90-win season with a negative run differential to that extent. You feel like they start to figure some things out. It can only get better.
2-1 now to J.P. Crawford, who had a 2-out walk in the second, and then he ended up scoring later on in that inning. Mariners signed Robbie Ray, the Cy Young Award winner. Got Frazier, Winker, and Suarez for their lineup. They also just signed Sergio Romo, our old friend Sergio Romo.
Yeah, some veteran presence down there.
Hope he left his bullpen song with us, but he may be taking it to Seattle.
Now,
that was one of our favorite things from last year.
Is it going to be street legal for me to dance on the road in Seattle?
Absolutely. I'll be disappointed if you don't.
El Machón.
Second baseman, number 26,
Seattle lost Kyle Seager. Of course, he retired. Seager had a huge year last year. So those are numbers that will have to be made up for, and I think that they will. Kikuchi's gone. Adam Frazier's got a double and a single and a run score.
And I think we're getting to that stage now where guys want to get their at-bats in, but they also want to find themselves out in the field for a little bit longer spell at a time. Because really early on in the spring, for the position players, and I say standing around, but I don't mean just standing around twiddling your thumbs, but just standing out on the field, getting ready in between pitch, going through your pre-pitch routine. Those are things that the body has to get used to. You can't just rush right into those things. So guys try to find that balance between getting their at-bats, seeing pitches, tracking pitches, but also getting out there defensively, breaking in your new spikes, just getting the body moving and getting the body used to.
Off the leg. And chasing after it is Jackson. He'll pick it up in foul territory. And Frazier's got his third hit. Looked like kind of a kick save and a beauty by Zach Jackson. But what you'd like to have the ball do is fall right at your feet. It did not do that.
And he couldn't corral it. And that's where you're fighting those instincts, Kipe. You want to do everything you can to knock it down. I mean, let's be honest, these pitchers out there are athletes. But you've got some athletes positioned behind you as well. And that's where you're trying to make that split-second decision. Do I want to get involved here? Or can I let this go through? And will there be somebody to help me out? See Elvis lined up
with the left foot. And it reached back. 2 on 2 out. Here's Ty France. He's 2 for 2. So Frazier and France, the top 2 hitters in the Mariners lineup, are 5 for 5. Pache, the center fielder, shaded toward right center. France has good power that way. And now it's 2-0.
Well, and here's a situation that Scott Emerson, pitching coach for the Oakland A's, was talking about here. Zach Jackson, has some traffic on the base path. 2-0 count, typically a fastball count. This is where it's going to be expected. Can you throw something secondarily here for a strike to get yourself back into the count?
Well, he went with a fastball well placed on the outside corner. France had a good rip at it.
I think Emo makes a great point. And I think we have seen this really become commonplace in baseball. There's really no fastball count anymore. 3-0, the last of the dinosaurs, the last of the typical fastball count. But you see the green light 3-0 a lot, and sometimes guys will put a little cut or a little wrinkle on it.
Kemp's right there, scoops it up, and that'll do it. So Zach Jackson works out of the jam, and we are going to the bottom of the 4th. 4-0 Seattle. So bottom of the 4th inning with the Mariners leading 4-0 over the Athletics, and we're joined now at the far end of the A's dugout by the left-hander Cole Irvin. Cole, how are you?
I'm great. I'm just enjoying some baseball, good baseball weather, and watching our guys hunt the ball and hit some balls.
Well, I tell you what, listen, if I'm Cole Irvin, I'm a happy man. You know why? Because last year at this time, he's fighting to make the team. Not sure what's going on this year. He has a great year last year, and he knows he's in the rotation. Cole, that has to be a completely different feeling than you've ever had in your professional career before.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think for the past 3 spring trainings up until this one, I've been fighting for a job and fighting for an opportunity on the opening day roster. And And this year I got to kind of get to relax a little bit and just kind of focus on what I need to, executing, good pitches and trying to, work on some more swing and miss pitches like my cutter and my slider now. So it's been fun. It's been a good spring. It's going to be short. Season's going to come up here pretty quick.
George. Well, Swerve, how do you transition mentalities from fighting, right, tooth and claw, scratching everything you can do to make an impression, to having the year that you had last year, and now, as you said, being able to come in and maybe take a little bit more of a deep breath and relax? But what is the mindset, and how does that transition into wanting to get better now? Is it focusing on certain things? If so, what are those things? And how do you really pinpoint what it is you want to come into camp and really dial in?
Yeah, I think it's my aggressiveness. I think I said, a little bit earlier in the week that I wanted to be a little bit more angry on the mound. But I think it's just an overall aggressiveness in the zone. I think my best games last year was when I was overly aggressive. I'll reference the San Francisco game. It's probably one of my favorite games to throw last year. And I was really aggressive with my fastball and in on guys' hands, sank the ball away, threw some change-ups. And all in all, I think that's just kind of the aggressive mentality that I want to have this year, especially with a cutter, because cutter, if you back off it a little bit, it'll back up and it'll end up in the middle of the plate where you don't want it. So just adding that to the repertoire too is going to help with my overall aggressiveness. So that's the goal for this year, and try to maintain my velocity too. So I'm doing a little bit more stuff in the training room, a little bit more stuff in the weight room to keep my body ready. And last year was the first time I actually had flown in any season. So flying was a new experience for me, being dehydrated, for a full year. I know guys play in the PCL and they have to fly everywhere. IL, I didn't ever have to worry about that. So flying was kind of new for me for a full season. So that's something I had to take into account. Oh, there we go. So yeah. That's the goal for this year, is just be aggressive and take care of my body a little bit more and do my job and improve this year.
Well, you have plenty of things to be proud of. What happened last year, your first shot at a big league rotation, but where does the fact that 32 starts, 178 innings in your first season in a big league rotation, where does that fit in what you're most proud of from last year?
It's pretty high. Obviously, it's pretty high for me. Now my objective is to get to 200 innings and make the same amount of starts. I had outings last year that were a little short-lived and all due to my own doing, right? And so now I'm just trying to improve on that and expand because I know I can. And oh my goodness.
Rodriguez to the wall, and it is off the top of the wall.
Yeah.
I think Murphy's looking out there saying, how did that not go out? Well, he hit it right into that little jagged edge out there where the wall goes back maybe 4 or 5 feet.
That ball was tatered.
Sure looked like it.
Swerve, talk to me about Murph here, because the first day I showed up to camp this season, I looked at Sean Murphy and said, did you just live in the weight room this offseason? Because possible or not, he got bigger and he got stronger. What's it like watching Murph just get better and better as you see him power that ball out to right center, knowing that's going to be the backstop back there helping you steer you through your outings?
Yeah, he had to lift all that gold through the offseason. So I think that really kind of plays a part in his offseason program. I think they had to throw that on the bench, but no, he looks good. We've been talking quite a bit, working together in my last 2 outings, and we're really in sync already, and that was part of our handshake last year, was being on the same page and stuff. So I'm excited to work with Murph again, excited to be around, in the dugout with the guys, and it's always good to be at spring training, and we're ready to get this thing going.
Well, Cole, nothing is official as far as where you're going to slot into the rotation. I guess it would be easy to think probably into the 3rd slot. And let's just say that is the case. That means your first start comes against the Philadelphia Phillies in Philadelphia, and they would be your old team. How much have you thought about that?
I have family and friends that kind of reference it a lot, but I'm excited to get back there. I love my time in Philadelphia. Just a great group of guys over there, but even more so, just the city was just really fun to be living in for my time there. And so I'm excited to get back. I have some good food spots that I like to enjoy. So I'm a little bit of a foodie, so definitely going to try to take some time and enjoy some of the spots that I love going to there. But, it's all business once this thing gets rolling, and we're going to, come out and, try to turn some heads. I know expectations are not very high with guys that we lost, but, we still got a very good rotation. We still got really good hitters in the lineup that are going to be able to produce runs, and the attitude's still the same in the clubhouse. We still got good attitudes, and it's a lot of fun coming to work every day and being able to work with the guys, and so I think we'll be ready when we head into Philadelphia, and that's the goal is to turn some heads, start with some interleague play, and facing the old club, there's always maybe a little edge there, a little chip on your shoulder, but it's going to be first start of the year, so there's going to be those natural nerves, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Well, have you talked about putting in the work? Season didn't get started right off the bat, so there was some play involved in the offseason as well. You're a fan of race car driving. Mm-hmm. Can you let us know how that's going? Because from what I saw on social media, you were able to secure the number 19 car, which I know is a big deal. But tell fans where they can find you, because you've got the YouTube channel rolling with some outstanding golf content as well. But I'm interested in the racing. How did that go down?
So I got invited to this Monday Night Racing League, and I honestly had no idea what it was about. And I thought it was like a Sunday beer league for baseball, you know, like Sunday softball league or whatever. Well, it just so happened that my first race, we're racing Xfinity cars at Daytona, and I'm three wide with Dale Jr. at my door. So that was a totally new experience, and after 6 laps, I caused the wreck. And so we, had a lot of fun with the Monday Night Racing crew. I'll probably jump into a couple races if we have an off day and it falls on a Monday with the guys this year for the spring season. But every fall, I'm going to start doing that on Monday nights on YouTube. Cole Irvin on YouTube. Got more stuff coming. I got more stuff in the works. It's going to be a lot of fun, just kind of growing the channel there. Limited content right now, but it's coming. I have big plans for this year. I have a little bit more time to kind of focus on it. So, but yeah, the Monday Night Racing League was a blast. I never thought I'd be as addicted to racing as I am. My fiance works in racing.
Throw sails. Murphy comes down the line at third. He stops, heads back.
Why'd I move? Dang it.
So
you wasn't even close.
Yeah, you got to get involved there a little bit.
Come on, that was I'm not in the bullpen, so I guess I don't have the high standards that they do. But gosh, I can't believe I moved. But yeah, Monday Night Racing, a lot of fun. Those guys did a great job, and went to the live event in Charlotte for the last race of the year, and met a ton of the guys that are active drivers in NASCAR, and it was really cool. So it was a lot of fun.
So that makes you a multi-sport athlete, which I didn't realize. Right?
Yeah.
Like in high school, right, where you play all 3 sports?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely consider drivers to be athletes. There's no question about it. Just sitting in a car, sounds like easy, but the G's that they're pulling at the speeds that they're going into those corners at the banking, it's mind-blowing what those guys can do. And if you guys never sat in a motion sim rig and you have an opportunity to, highly suggest it, because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds a little aggressive. I like to feel like I'm nice and comfy on my couch. I don't want to be pulling G's in my office.
No, I definitely don't have the motion sim rig. I literally sit in a swivel chair and have a desk mount, steering wheel. It's not anything crazy, but it's enough to get the job done. And I think the highest placing I had was 8th. So I got a lot of work to do.
Hey, a top 10 finish under the belt. That's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, 1 in 15 races.
You know what, Cole? Dallas is full of it, because if you've ever seen him pull out of the Coliseum and get on the I-880 heading south, it's a drag race. It's a drag race.
Yeah.
Where are you going, young man, and why are you going so fast?
Well, I've been trying to get the link from Irv so I can maybe get a spot in one of these races here on the Monday Night League. I don't know.
We'll get you going. Have you jumped on iRacing yet, or what have you been driving?
Why? I'm not doing myself any favors. I'm not doing myself any favors. Well, hey, can you give us a cheesesteak spot to look out for when we get to Philly?
Oh yeah. So I guess in terms of traditional spots, that is a little touristy, but Jim's, Kevin Hart, that's where he would go to, when he was a kid in Philadelphia. So that was my first cheesesteak spot. So that was my favorite. And then there was Culver's, which is like a gourmet cheesesteak spot.
Oh.
That is absolutely electric. And I would just have to say that if you want traditional, I would go with Jim's. Jim's Steaks. I think that's what it's called. And that was my go-to spot whenever I needed one. So.
Well, and they're legit. I mean, they're as good as advertised. And I will
It's
be
all
having
about the
one.
roll. It's all about the roll.
Yeah.
I mean,
Keep it, not keep it a little soft. That's what.
yeah, exactly. It's got to have the right like crunch on the outside, but it's soft on the inside. It's perfect. They just do it right. They know how to do it. And Philly pretzels too. Don't sleep on the pretzels.
Ooh, huge pretzel guy here. Tell me more.
I think that's where the pretzel started. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Wow.
We might need some fact checkers on that one, but I'm pretty sure that's where the pretzel began. And I'm not kidding you. I've had the warmest, saltiest pretzel at 5 a.m. in the morning before going to an airport. It was the best. It was the best decision I've ever made in terms of a snack.
Sounds like a winner.
You writing this down?
I am. Got it.
Perfect. Hey, Cole, we're going to let you go. And we're looking forward to your first start. Hopefully it will be in Philadelphia. We'll be psyched to check it out. And congratulations on a huge year last year. We're looking forward to more this year.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Had fun. We'll chat some more this season.
Absolutely. So Cole Irvin, we appreciate it. And there's a lot of good stories from last year, individual stories. I think he was one of the best because I don't want to say he came out of nowhere, but we did not know a lot about him. I remember when we saw him in spring training, and it was like, he's got a shot to, we just didn't know much about him. And it turns out, not a real hard thrower, pitches in, pitches out, but has a real good idea. And I think he's just going to continue to grow and get a little bit better. But he was pretty darn good last year. Maybe I don't want to say ran out of gas, but maybe got a little tired in the second half because of all the innings.
Well, he made a great point about the traveling, something that he had to adapt to, and that is something that if you played in the Pacific Coast League, you're dealing with those flights, early morning flights on top of that. So just to feel his body reacting in a way that he had never dealt with before at the big league level, there's an adjustment to be made. And the fact that he took the ball as often as he did, and he was able to pitch as well as he did, those are things that you have to consider when you're trying to evaluate in totality his entire campaign.
In the meantime, the A's have the bases loaded against the rookie George Kirby, but Kirby's going to get out of it as Billy McKinney flies out to center field. So the A's threaten, but do not score, and we are through 4 innings from Arizona.
NBC Sports California is celebrating women's history. Check out our latest feature of Amelia Schimmel and Renelle Brooks-Moon, 2 of the 4 women PA announcers in baseball that are changing the sound of the game. Only on NBCSportsCalifornia.com/women's history.
So we have reached the 5th inning from Holcomb Park in Mesa, Arizona. Dallas Braden, Glenn Kuiper. Hope you're enjoying our first telecast of this 2022 season. New pitcher is Zach Logue. He's a left-hander. And Logue is one of the new Athletics as he came over in the trade with the Toronto Blue Jays for Matt Chapman. See Kevin Smith. He was another part of that trade. Zach Logue. So our first look at him.
A pretty good run last year between AA and AAA. Combined for a 12-4 record. ERA just north of 3.5 at 3.67.
Spring training numbers, just one game.
Take a swing, come on.
So listen, you have the pitching staff. You start with the rotation. You know you have Manaea, you have Montas, and Irvin. James Kaprarian's going to be out for maybe the first 3 to 4 weeks. He's got a little shoulder issue, but he is getting better. So you're not going to have Kaprarian in the early going. Now you're talking there's a couple open spots.
Adjust.
Dalton Jeffries is part of that mix. And Zach Logue may be part of that mix.
Well, there's no reason that he can't pitch well enough to put himself on the radar and put himself into consideration for one of those open spots. And that's why I have dubbed this season, and especially this spring, for some of the new fellows who have come over and joined the club, as the era of opportunity, because that's all that you wake up with each and every day is an opportunity, whether that's to get better yourself or make that impression. That's what each and every day provides.
Logue with the walk to Winker to open up the 5th inning. But the A's in these trades, the trade for Bassett, the trade for Chapman, the trade for Matt Olson, they received 10 players back. 7 of the 10 are pitchers. Not all of them are necessarily close to the big leagues. Logue is close to the big leagues.
Right.
Pitching in AA and AAA last year, as you said.
Well, and with the ability to develop pitching, you take a look at center fielder Pache, who we talked a lot about and will continue to do so.
So keep a close eye on Zach Lowe. And 25 minor league innings last year. That's a pretty good number for a minor league season.
Well, especially if you're splitting time.
Yeah, 24 starts. Logue, originally a 9th round pick of the Toronto Blue Jays in 2017 out of the University of Kentucky. So a couple of open spots in the early going in that rotation. We'll see who gets those. Let's talk about that a little bit. The rotation, and then you have the bullpen, and there's some openings in the bullpen as well. In fact, there's quite a few openings because really Trevino and Diolis Guerra, I mean, those are really the only 2 guys back from last year who pitched a lot. And a hit batter, that's Haniger, and Logue in some trouble here in the 5th inning. A walk and a hit batter, so not a great start to the 5th.
Well, here you see it coming in towards that back foot. Not sure if it caught him on the back foot or if it was that front leg.
So meeting at the mound, but I don't. Domingo Acevedo has a pretty good chance to make the rotation, but that's only 3 guys. Well, so that bullpen situation is pretty wide open.
And really, if you think that you're in line for a spot in the rotation and maybe that doesn't work out, what you have to consider is your ability to now potentially slide into a bullpen spot. You could provide some length there, and we understand the way that bullpens are deployed these days. You could see yourself in a 2-inning role, regardless of the plus or minus side of things, winning or losing. But with those spaces available down there, it is paramount that when the opportunity arises in games like today, tomorrow, and the remainder of spring training, you are showing the staff that you have the ability to throw strikes early on, you have the ability to command your entire repertoire, and that you're not afraid to pitch to contact, which I know might sound a little funny these days when we start to talk about bullpen roles. because we like guys that can generate the swing and miss in a bullpen setting.
Suarez skies one to deep right. Bolt shading those eyes, and then he comes in, makes the catch. Winker's going to tag. He'll go to third. So a productive out for Suarez, and it's first and third, one out. Well, with that, what you're saying, you have to start thinking about, does A.J. Puk fall into this group somewhere? And it's interesting because with Puk, Puk's made 3 spring training appearances. The last 2 were for 2 innings. Doesn't mean maybe they're stretching him out to be a starter. I don't know, but Puk has to be in the conversation.
Yeah, there's no question. You see get a look at the big lefty there, but look, we're talking about a guy in A.J. Puk who's, pedigree says starter coming out of college. He's dealt with some issues, some physical issues, but finding your way back to a point where you can be in the middle of being built up for that extended period of time or settling into a bullpen role. I tell you, big left-hander by the name of Andrew Miller just retired this season.
He was pretty good.
Made a pretty good living out of getting you a few outs out of that bullpen. I mean, look, there's guys like Paul Blackburn, Grant Holmes. These are guys that have started, have the ability to also pitch on the back end.
That one's grounded. Kemp, nice play. Gets up, throws to first in time to get Kelnick. Run comes in to score. But a nice play by Tony Kemp. Take a base hit away from Kelnick.
Well, this is not an easy play, Kipe. Not only because TK had to lay out and he gathers it on the dirt, but if you can take a look, watch where this ball ends up in his glove, right? It's in the palm of his glove, and he squeezes that thing tightly. I think at times you see guys catch that ball in the palm in an effort to try to regather it, it ends up spitting out of the glove, or maybe trying to pop themselves up, it ends up spitting out of the glove, and they can't finish the play. Not the case for TK there. Heck of an effort.
Dallas, you mentioned Paul Blackburn, and we should not forget him as a starter candidate. He's going to pitch tomorrow against the Angels over in Tempe. Don't know what kind of lineup the Angels will send out there, but if they do send out their A lineup, that's a really good lineup. That'll be a good test for Blackburn because, again, he is part of the 4th and 5th starter conversation.
As you start to make that bid, just the competitor in me says, I want to face those A lineups, and I would really love to face division opponents, and that's not really ego-filled, but that's more about being able to really make an impression that's going to last. Meaning, I think the staff, I think the front office pays attention to how well you're competing against guys within the division, simply because you're going to be facing these guys as a club 19 times a year. And if you're going to see an A lineup with the likes of an Anthony Rendon, a Shohei Ohtani, a Mike Trout, a Jared Walsh, or maybe a Joe Adele slid in there, I mean, there's some dudes there.
There's some workhorses in the A's bullpen last year that are not back. Yusmeiro Petit, 78 games. Sergio Romo, 66 games. Jake Diekman pitched in 67 games. But then don't forget about Bert Smith, 31 games. Andrew Chafin, who was not with the A's a long time, got him at the trade deadline. He pitched in 28 games. That's a lot of games that you have to make up for. So the A's will try to figure it out, and sometimes it may take a little while. Toward the right field corner, Bolt into the corner, and he makes the catch. So a run against Zach Logue for the Seattle Mariners. Bottom of the 5th coming up, 5-0. fans, we got a great deal for you. Get 4 tickets and parking for all Friday night games starting at just $39. Pick from great matchups, post-game fireworks, and drone shows, giveaways, and much, much more. Tickets are available at athletics.com/value. That's athletics.com/value. 4 tickets, parking for all Friday night games starting at $39. That's a good deal.
That sounds like a heck of a deal. Sounds like a reason to come get some baseball in you.
A couple of young A's fans on the berm out in left field.
I think we could switch with those two for just a half inning if the snow cones were involved, and we'd be just fine.
It's one of the great characteristics of Arizona spring training ballparks. I don't see them a lot in Florida. Doesn't mean they don't have them, but the outfield berms, and almost every ballpark, in fact, I think probably every ballpark in Arizona has them. I almost feel like you have to. If you don't have one, you're behind the times, but it's such a great place to hang out. And really paying attention to the game, optional.
Yeah.
Optional. Heck of a play by left fielder Jesse Winker, who reached up right at the last moment and grabbed that shot off the bat of Pache. Hit it on the button.
He did. See a good swing from the right side. This is a bullet. Winker just got a great first step on it, able to elevate, flash a little of that athleticism. But you nailed it, partner. That's what I was thinking about when we were talking about the ballparks and showing up early and the tailgaters. But it's one thing to catch a ball game. It's another thing to catch a ball game on grass out there. And
it's just a very cool Arizona spring training thing.
Yes.
It really is. Because you could be, I mean, listen, you could be a group of 5 dudes just down here to have a good time, play golf, have some beers, go to games, or you could be a family of 4 with a blanket out and having just as much fun as anybody else.
yes. Well, and again, to your point, maybe not even see a pitch for an inning or 2.
Optional. Little extra room out there today, but we've been here and in the other ballparks where, especially on the weekends, you got to get here early and you got to fight for a spot to put your blanket down.
Yeah.
And by about the 5th or 6th inning, the sunburn starts to take over.
Yeah, you got to start finding some shade.
France will take it himself. Sky Bolt is retired. So that's 2 outs. A's facing George Kirby here. George Kirby, another high draft pick for the Seattle Mariners, and another rotation candidate for a young pitcher. They love George Kirby.
Yeah, big fans. Big fans. And I just back to the conversation we were having earlier about, you know, the minor league system and the shape it's in, but you get some guys plugged into the system and get them an opportunity to face some upper level big league sort of talent and really make your evaluation, and you come away pretty pleased.
Kirby facing Tony Kemp. 3rd at bat for Kemp. He's 0 for 2, hitting in the leadoff spot. Under the glove of Adam Frazier, and Tony Kemp gets the A's 3rd hit. So a 2-out single for Kemp, and here's Elvis Andrus.
Well, it doesn't matter. Spring training, regular season, the baseball gods don't care. You make a great play out in the field, you put together a good at bat, they typically reward you with a knock. Something Tony Kemp is very accustomed to.
So here's Elvis, who's 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. First pitch swinging, fouls it back. Yeah, Kirby was a 1st-round draft pick of the Mariners in 2019, so just a couple of years ago. Elon University in Elon, North Carolina.
Well, and when you say that, drafted in 2019, and you think about these young draft picks really having to find their way through a COVID-restricted beginning to their career. That's not an easy task because there is so much going on when you get to the pro level. Your head can start spinning. You're just trying to figure out how to lay a base, how to lay a foundation, how do I prepare my body, you know, the traveling, and those are things, as Cole Irvin mentioned, he had to get accustomed to flying. Well, now you're not in one location. You're not at the, you know, extended site.
Yeah, using Kirby as an example of what you're talking about. In 2019, the year he was drafted, he made 8 starts in low A, which is not uncommon for a high draft pick, maybe through some fair amount of innings in college. And then 2020 comes, nothing. And then last year, 15 starts in high A and double A. So really not a lot of minor league time, and it just kills you that he lost the whole 2020 season.
Right. But, you know, I think about the work that guys are able to put in these days in the offseason and, you know, quote unquote, in the lab as far as pitchers go, meaning really being able to dive in to the evaluation of who you are, dive into the evaluation of your stuff. So if you're still getting those quality reps in, while not game speed, there's still a lot of work to be done and a lot of ground to be gained.
Fouled right side again to keep the count 2-2.
I was talking to a buddy of mine whose son's playing travel ball, and you know, might not have been playing as much as he had hoped or would have liked to, and asking me, you know, what's the move here? What's the transition? And I just continually harp on making sure you're getting those quality practice reps in, because that's what's going to help separate. You know, if you're out there on a travel ball team and you're playing 5 games over a weekend and you look up and, well, you've got maybe 5 or 8 at bats to walk away with, you start to wonder, what are we doing here? Am I helping my child? Is my child learning anything, or would we be better served to be getting quality practice reps in at what we can develop as game speed?
Yeah, that is an excellent point. Hope all the dads out there hear that. Anders strikes out, a strand a runner, 6th inning coming up.
Not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Athletics Investment Group, LLC.
Five nothing, top of the 6th inning. And one of the true joys of announcing a spring training game, and I mean, it's really my favorite point in the game, is when all the starters come out and all the substitutions come in, and it's generally done all at the same time. It's pure joy right now in this booth.
Well, and that goes for every booth,
Yeah,
and everybody
Yeah, it's not
covering the ball
special
game.
just to this booth. That's Buddy Reed in right field. So we got Buddy Reed in the game, but we certainly feel a responsibility, especially for the A's changes, to get all those changes in so our fans can see the young players.
Let's look at the future.
So we'll do that as best we can as the next inning or so goes along. It is Zach Logue out there for his 2nd inning of work.
Yeah, with a quick out and dialing up a quick strike.
way outside. Logue gave up a run without allowing a hit in the 5th inning. He opened up that 5th with a walk and then a hit batter, so that was the problem. That was what certainly got things going, helped the Mariners get their 5th run. Crawford has walked twice in this game. Or J.P. Crawford, most of last year, at least when the A's played the Mariners, was hitting in the leadoff spot. Today he's hitting in that 9th spot. He cranks one to right. Buddy Reed shading his eyes, and he's got it. And it'll be interesting to see with Adam Frazier now and with Winker and some new bats in that Mariners lineup. It could be that Crawford hits down at the bottom.
Well, yeah, if you feel like you can move some guys around.
There's the new infield. Hermes Garcia at first, Christian Lopes at second, Drew Jackson at short, and Sheldon Noisy back with the A's. And there is Sheldon. He says, give me Chapman's number. That's what I want. I want Chappie's number.
I like it.
I do too. So we got the new infield is set. Zach Logue would love to have a nice quick inning.
Well, not only that, Kite, but able to dispose of J.P. Crawford left on left. You followed up here against a guy who's got himself a few knocks already in the ball game this afternoon in Adam Frazier. And those are just little things that you know the staff is taking note of as well.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we're talking about in the mix for a starting spot in the rotation, but maybe in the mix for a left-handed bullpen spot. Show us you can get lefties out.
There you go.
And he does. So that's a good inning for Zach Logue. Nice to see. Strikes out a tough hitter in Frazier. Logue has a 3-up, 3-down inning. With the Mariners leading the A's 5-0. We're looking forward to talking to A's second baseman Tony Kemp, who has the headset on downstairs. Tony, thanks for joining us. Hey, make a great play, get the base hit, and then get the heck out of there, right? That's the way spring training works.
Oh, man, yeah. Pitch selection. It's all about pitch selection, for sure.
As a hitter, we've talked about, there's so much talk about the pitchers short in spring training, got to get their work in. How is it for a veteran hitter like yourself? Are you okay with the 4-week spring training, and is that enough time to get your work in?
Yeah, I think it's definitely enough time to get work in, but, you know, I think it's a slow but sure process that you just have to continue to, you know, work on things in the cage and not necessarily work on them when you're in the box and thinking about it. Just go up there and let your instincts take over. But a couple more at-bats, I feel like about 10 to 15 more at-bats for me, and I'll be ready.
Hey, TK, now, I don't think it's any mystery. We understand that with the departure of some guys there, especially in the infield, there's a little bit of a shuffle going on. Has there been any, I don't want to say pressure, but has there been any sort of energy around you maybe taking on a bigger role in terms of leadership, just kind of steering some of these younger guys around? Because, look, it's understood. You're still making hay for yourself, but there's some younger guys that you're going to be bringing along with you as well. How has that gone, that transition maybe to being more of a leader?
Yeah, no, I think the transition's great. I'm definitely getting asked more questions this spring than I've ever been asked before, but that's a good thing. I just feel like these young guys are hungry and willing to learn and willing to understand that, you know, if they want to get better, they, you know, talk to guys who have been in those places, been in those experiences, and yeah, it's been great. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a bigger role for me. I think I'm just going to go out, be myself, and you know, I feel like you just get to go out there and play baseball, and you can just have fun and smile and understand you're playing a kid's game for a living. So I'm excited to get going.
Tony, you had such a good year last year, and you've had a good career, but it seemed like it all came together last year. Was there something that clicked, or was it just getting a chance to maybe play more than in other years, or was it a combination of both?
Yeah, I just feel like there's never been a time in my career where I've actually got 30 straight at-bats in the big leagues, you know? So, you know, I feel like the choppiness of at-bats, and, you know, sometimes when you're feeling really hot and then you sit for 2 or 3 days and you kind of forget what that rhythm feels like, that timing feels like, and then you're thrown off a little bit. I just felt like, last year I got a more bulk and more looks and more opportunities, and that was the most plate appearances that I had ever in my career. So I kind of just was able to flow and just have fun. I honestly just enjoyed just being with the guys, and I necessarily wasn't thinking too much about the game, and feel like I'm just going to do the same thing this year.
So coming off of what could be the biggest workload of your career, I know from a pitcher's perspective, we talked to Cole Irvin earlier today about the comfort level of knowing that he's kind of got a rotation spot sewed up, and how that allows him to prepare this year maybe differently than he has in the past. Is that similar, knowing that you got so many ABs under your belt last year? You just alluded to the choppiness, and that's probably not going to be a thing for you this year.
Right. Honestly, my mentality going into each spring training is just to make a team. Honestly, I feel like if I sit back and feel like, oh, my position's already there, it's already a lock, I feel like you get kind of lackadaisical in a sense. And, being out there and being in the field, it's a sense, if you're trying to feel like you're out there going and trying to make a team, then I feel like your effort and your energy is going to be that much more higher. Because I remember the days when I was on every road trip, every bus trip, and backing up every game, and you just wanted to get that 1 AB. And now that I'm in this situation, I never want to take it for granted. I never want to say, I have a locked position on the team. I just want to go out there and make it look like I'm trying to make a team in the big leagues.
Well, we've talked about some new roster additions, and you and your home club have welcomed a new roster addition as well. You and your beautiful wife, Michelle, just brought a brand new baby girl into the world, and you had an amazing post on Instagram the other day. Just the excitement of knowing that you got her in the ballpark. You got your girls there rooting for you. What was that like, man?
I mean, obviously you saw the play and how I felt, honestly, I get chills talking about it. I've never felt that, emotion before stepping onto a baseball field. Being able to hold her, hug her, give her some kisses, and see those little gummy smiles. It just it lights you up. And then other than that, you just get to go out there and play baseball, something you've done since you're 4 years old. And I just McKenna, she lights me up, man. She's already got me wrapped around her finger. She's a joy. She's been great. I mean, she's 3 months old, and she's been sleeping 7 hours at night. So knock on wood, don't jinx me. Just let it ride. Her naps have been great. She's a little fussy at night when I give her a bottle, but if she's gonna sleep 6-7 hours, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah, that's whatever's going on, Tony, with you and your wife, it's working.
It's working.
7 hours after 3 months. That's
keep it going.
Hey, Tony, thanks for joining us. Good luck this year. We think you're going to have a big year.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I have it.
Tony Kempe, second baseman, one of our favorites. Seventh inning.
Grab your friends, family, and join us for some fun this season. Get your tickets for the biggest games, fireworks, drone light shows, giveaways, and much, much more. Tickets start at just $15, so find your seats at athletics.com.
Seventh inning from Hohokam Park in Mesa, Arizona. Dallas, our first telecast of this 2022 season, so we're excited about that. But we are sad that we're going to be without our longtime broadcast partner, Ray Fosse, of course, who passed away last fall unexpectedly. We last saw Ray at the ballpark late in August, or early August, and unfortunately he was not feeling great. Really wasn't feeling very good at all last summer, and so it's a tough year for you and I, because we love that guy. I mean, how can Ray Fosse not be at the Coliseum in an A's game? That's kind of the thought that keeps coming back to me.
Yeah, it's spring training was always something I really look forward to for a number of reasons, and recently having the opportunity to broadcast and share a booth with two of my favorite guys in the world, you and Fosse, I really looked forward to those conversations on the phone. And Fosse, not a big text messenger, but I'd get that text how you doing? And then followed up by the phone call, and we're talking baseball. And that was, January, creeping into February, because spring training was right around the corner. And that made everything right in the world. So he will be missed, and we will have a chair for Mr. Foss with us all year long.
Well, we could sit here and we could tell stories about Ray for 4 straight days and then have some left over.
Oh, yeah.
But he truly was a wonderful man. And one of the memories that I'll always have of Ray is him being able to catch a foul ball and you not being able to catch it.
I tried to play it on the hop. It caromed. What I did for Foss was I bodied up, I kept it in front, and it kicked over.
Yeah, that's right. You know what? You blocked it. But the thing with Ray is one thing you do as a broadcaster when you go to an opposing city, you go in, talk to the other broadcasters, say, hey, what's your team all about? Well, that happens when you're at home as well. Hey, you're playing the Mariners. Mariners guys come in. Hey, how's your team playing? Who's hot? Who's not? So it happened in our booth all the time, and I usually just let Ray kind of take over, and it did not matter how the A's were playing. They could have lost 20 games in a row, but that announcer would leave our booth thinking the A's were a World Series contender. And some years they were, but even if they weren't, and if a guy was struggling, that announcer would leave the booth thinking, be careful. That's kind of hot.
That's a guy I got to circle.
He was so loyal to the Athletics. It was like a brother thing where, you know what? I can criticize the A's. You better not.
Yeah.
It's like your brother, right?
Uh-huh.
I can make fun of him, but you better not, because I'll fight you for it.
And
that's the way he was with the A's.
Yes.
Do not criticize the A's. I will, but you better not.
And
and he meant it.
Oh, did he? And I couldn't have been luckier than to have that man steering me in the direction he did with that kind of energy behind his love, not only for the game of baseball, but for this organization. And that is what I can tell you right now has allowed me to be as comfortable as I have been. Because if it wasn't for Ray and the conversations we had regarding that, it's okay to love your team. It's okay to pull for your team without, you look for guidance in places. And when it comes from somebody like that, what Ray meant to myself, to you, as I said, to this club, that really kind of put a lot of the worry at ease for a young guy just trying to figure things out in the booth.
So we'll miss him, but I think everybody knew that was going to happen, and I know he's going to be badly missed at the Coliseum. But he loved the Athletics.
Oh, man.
It's Billy Hamilton. You better hurry, because he's pretty darn fast. He's got an infield hit. Billy Hamilton on a minor league deal, trying to make this Mariners team. It's a crowded roster. See if he's got a shot there.
Number 17, Mitch Haniger.
Well, doing everything you can out there on the mound, trying to elevate and knock it down. And with Billy Hamilton, I don't know if that ball making its way to second base really would have made much of a difference.
No, I think he had a base hit right when the pitcher, Ryan Castellani, had it pop off his glove. Castellani in. He's the 4th pitcher of the afternoon for the Athletics. Big guy, 6'4", 220. Formerly in the Colorado Rockies organization. Got a little big league time with the Rockies in 2020 and then last year, but now a member of the Athletics. Keep an eye on Hamilton, as you know. What a treat today for Dallas and I as we were standing in the tunnel between the clubhouse and the dugout. It was pretty early. I don't know, maybe what, 10 o'clock, 10:30, something like that. And who comes bouncing down the stairs but Stephen Vogt.
Oh, man.
Man, was it good to see him. Gave us both a big hug, stood there and talked to us for about 20 minutes. And in no exaggeration, we talked to him for 20 minutes. I learned like 6 things. Seriously. I mean, he's just so great to talk to because he's so baseball savvy and smart.
Well, it's a fountain of information, and it's a fountain of experience.
Yeah.
And that right there is, I think, what is so important.
In the hole, and that's going to be not quite a double play. The throw from Christian Lopes, the second baseman. Just a little offline at first, but Stephen Vogt is back. He signed a 1-year contract. He's going to back up catch, maybe play a little first base, maybe DH, but he says, I still got a little bit left in the tank. I can help a big league team, and we're lucky that it's going to be the A's.
Well, let me tell you, he can help 30 big league teams just because of what you were talking about. The information he has, his ability to disseminate that information and make it digestible for guys young and old. But he's going to have an impact in the community, which I know the Oakland community is very thankful and appreciative of. But just being in the clubhouse, being a presence, something that's this organization has done very well for a very long time is cultivating culture and allowing that clubhouse to police itself. And guys like Stephen Vogt are a massive part of why the culture has remained consistent over the years for the Oakland Athletics. And nobody understands that, I think, more than Vogt.
And that hit, well, it hit Toro, the hitter. It also hit the umpire. Bethencourt, the catcher, I think he survived. Abraham Toro in the game. He gets hit. So I'm sure he's super thrilled about that.
That's a fun AB.
I think I've got the catcher as well. So Stephen Vogt is back. That's exciting. And yesterday the A's announced the signing of Jed Lowry. So Jed Lowry's back. And Jed taking some balls at first base, so he has a chance that maybe help there. Can still play some second base. Did a lot of DH last year. And I say it every year with Jed because he continues to do it. He can hit.
Oh, he sure can.
Right, and he can still hit. He knocked in 69 runs last year for the A's. So Jed Lowry's back. Stephen Vogt's back. As this A's roster starts to come together a little bit. Still a fair amount of questions.
Well, I think with just those two names, with Vogt and Jed back in the mix, you've got two phenomenal sounding boards for these young guys that are just trying to figure out, trying to figure out how to put their uniform on, how to travel, how to order room service, and I'm kind of tongue-in-cheek in that, but those are things that you do have to try to get acclimated to, and you want to make sure you're doing it the right way, handling business in the clubhouse and on the field the right way, get your work in the right way. When you've got a couple guys that you can just look at, you don't even have to talk to them, you can just watch them and learn. Having those guys around is extremely important, especially for a young group.
So you're going to have Elvis at short. Tony Kemp's going to get a decent amount of playing time at second. Third base, Kevin Smith's going to get an opportunity. Noisy's in the game now. And of course, Chad Pinder's going to bounce around. Chad Pinder, I mean, this year, the reality is he may do the Tony Phillips thing, get 500 at bats, but play almost every day at 4 or 5 different positions. Or Tony Phillips was terrific at it, but you called Tony Phillips a utility player, and he wanted to fight you. He was not a utility player. He was an everyday player playing different positions. I think that could be the case with Pinder. I think if he can stay healthy, he's going to get a lot of at-bats this year.
I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be the case. you know, I'm sure there's folks out there who would like to see Chad, you know, maybe get an opportunity to entrench himself at one position or another. But it's almost like you become a victim of your own wealth. This is how good you are, is we can't just anchor you here or there. We need to be able to utilize you today and then tomorrow in a very different fashion. But the bat and the approach still plays, and we got to have you in there. It just might not be in the same spot. And I think he's done a wonderful job of understanding that.
Kelenic strikes out, so Castellani gets out of the jam. A couple of runners stranded. We'll talk more about this A's roster when we come back. 5-0 Seattle. Season game live or on demand with MLB.tv online or on your favorite supported device, as well as selected spring training games. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details. 7th inning stretch from Hohokam Park. Everybody on their feet, enjoying a gorgeous day. Low 90s. Not a cloud in the sky. The way spring training is supposed to be. (5-0) the Mariners lead. Christian Bethancourt is going to be the first hitter. Let's get back to this A's roster, Dallas. And I think obviously you trade Chapman, you trade Olson, you're going to have big holes at those two positions. And you know, as we said, Kelly's going to get a shot at third. Pinder can play third. Noisey's here. The first base question is significant. Eric Thames is here, minor league deal.
Big bopper.
Billy McKinney, we saw him today. Dalton Kelly, who is a first baseman, he's in left field in the game now, but those are three guys who are getting some opportunities early. But they're all three non-roster invitees, meaning they're not on the 40-man roster. So if you put one of them on and they make the team, well, then you're going to have to take somebody off the 40-man roster. So I think that comes into play a little bit, because you're probably not going to keep more than one of those three. That's just a guess, because now you have Lowry, who can't play first.
Well, you mentioned.
So I think first base is a significant question mark right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. And with the additions that you mentioned and their ability, you know, a Jed, a Vogt, guys being able to spend some time over there, that really does kind of, in my opinion, start to shift the focus on viable bullpen options. Because when you start to make those roster decisions, you want to know that you're going to get performance and production out of each and every person you have on that roster, that they've earned that spot.
Yeah, when you trade two players like that, you're not going to be able to just automatically replace them with another guy. So it may be the kind of roster and the kind of season this year, if the A's are going to have success, they're going to need all 26 guys, or the first month 28 guys. Everybody's going to have to play a lot, and everybody's going to have to contribute.
That's it. And that's, again, why if you are a fringe guy here in camp, or if you're somebody who has already been reassigned to minor league camp, or maybe you didn't get the call to come to big league camp this year, by no means does that mean that you are not on the radar. And this, folks, is coming from a guy who started my rookie year in Double-A and had a very, very good understanding that if I can continue to put the work in and can continue to progress, then I'm giving myself as good of an opportunity as somebody who might have been in big league camp, who might have been considered a quote-unquote fringe guy that was going to go back to AAA. Well, just by virtue of production, you can find your way on that big league roster.
Well, dropped at second base. So it's Dalton Kelly, who we just mentioned is one of the possible guys getting an opportunity at first base. That's Donovan Walton, who could not come up with that one. it's going to be in E4. So Kelly is the runner, and here's Christian Pache, who still in the game. He's getting his third at bat. So there's your, the infield situation as it stands right now. Pache with good speed, and he beats it out to first. So fielder's choice for Christian Pache.
Well, this might be something small here, Kite, but here we are in the 7th inning. And I believe that the reason Pache is still in this game is so that he could get that third at bat. And it's a rollover to third base, but he's busting it down the line. He's not just Cadillacing over to first base, making that double play an easy ball.
Good speed.
Well, and for folks who were trying to figure out and get a feel for who the player is, you take note of things like that.
So here's Buddy Reed. First at bat for Reed. At the A's outfield situation, it's a little in flux with the fact that Ramon Laureano is going to miss the first 27 games to finish off that suspension. So he's not going to be around for the month of April. And Stephen Piscotty's shoulder is barking, and he has not played. So that's an issue.
Well, again, that's 2 spots that are otherwise spoken for.
Absolutely.
That give you roughly a month. We hope things continue to progress for Piscotty, and it's not as long as the 27-game hole that we're going to have to fill with Laureano gone.
Broken bat grounder. It's Toro who scoops, throws, and it's dug out at first. It's Dylan Moore over at first base. So he digs it outside. Retired. On to the 8th. It's 5-0 Seattle.
These have a limited time sale going on for 10 voucher Flex Tix plans for the 2022 season. You get 10 Plaza level Flex Tix vouchers for just $199. Flex Tix can be redeemed for any available game this season. So to take advantage of this great offer and get your 10 voucher Flex Tix packs today, go to athletics.com/tickets.
Top of the 8th inning, new pitcher for the A's is Domingo Acevedo. Acevedo, we saw him just a touch last year. 10 games for the Athletics, 3.27 ERA, 11 innings pitched. Fills out the uni, 6'7", 240.
Yeah, not a little fella.
No.
He's coming with a green shirt, green t-shirt, junior
He's
t-shirt.
pitcher number 5. Delani goes an inning. To the right side, that's Christian Lopes. Nice play, throws him out. So Dallas, let's finish our roster breakdown of the outfield, and then we can wrap that up. We mentioned the Laureano and the Piscotty situation, and I think so that's 2 guys that for the time being need to be replaced. We don't know when Piscotty's coming back, but you have to remember, you also have to replace Mark Canha, your everyday left fielder, and Starling Marte, who was terrific. So it's more than just Laureano and Piscotty right now. It's what you lost from last year as well. And there's at bats from Mitch Moreland that are gone.
Yep.
So there's a lot of moving parts that need to replace, and that ball is smoked. That's a big boy home run. So that makes it 6-0.
Yeah, Souza all over this. You can see the fastball just leaking out over third. Steven Souza Jr. did not miss. This was a bolt.
So first home run in the ball game. I take that back. Second home run. Suarez hit one in the very first inning. So all Reds this afternoon. Third appearance for Acevedo this spring. So I guess when you go through it, kind of the way we have done with the roster, I mean, there's quite a few decisions that need to be made still. And this is the 9th game of spring training, and there's 9 left.
Well,
so there's not a lot of time, and there's not a lot of game evaluation to be had just because there's not a lot of games left.
Well, that's why each and every pitch, each and every at bat is as important as it is. You know, and again, kind of thinking about being able to make an impression or having the opportunity to do so, I think it plays in the favor of a guy like Skye Bolt, who's had some time at the big league level, has showcased his talent, and he'd like to believe, and I'm sure everybody that's evaluated him, you know, if he can start to get some regular at bats, you know, maybe there's some things that can click. I think Tony Kemp made an incredible point about him getting 30 straight at bats in the big leagues, right? That's like a week.
Yeah.
Just let me play every day for a week.
And it made all the difference in the world to Kemp.
Sure did. And you just never know what that might unlock for guys. But you got to earn those at bats.
Trammell is retired, so home run for the Mariners, and we are on to the bottom of the 8th. Seattle now up 6-0. Mariners leading 1-0 exhibition baseball from Mesa, Arizona. Dallas Braden and Glenn Kuiper 6-0. Correct myself. As we all zero in on opening day for the Athletics, April 8th, next Friday, a week from Friday, in Philadelphia. Yeah, the Phillies loaded up with Castellanos and Schwarber. That's a couple of real big bats that they've added to what's a pretty good lineup already. I was looking at their lineup, and there's just, it's pretty good.
It's healthy. It's healthy. I mean, you're talking about Schwarb's at the top of that lineup, right? They rolled him into the leadoff spot. I mean, but he went on a tear, I think, for about 2 weeks. Every day for 2 weeks last year.
He hit 40 home runs in 2 weeks.
I mean,
yeah, Schwarber, Castellanos. I mean, Castellanos is a great hitter.
What a tremendous addition for them as well, to plug him in there. You know, you got a guy with some pop at the top, but then, I mean, he's going to cover up Bryce Harper, who's going to cover up Real Muto, who's going to cover up Rhys Hoskins. You got Gene the hit machine somewhere down there.
Gregorius. And they got the young third baseman.
Yeah, Baum.
That's a terrific lineup, and that's what the A's are going to see. Packed house in Philadelphia a week from Friday. It's a day game. Ryan Buchter is the new pitcher, and he gets greeted by Christian Lopes, who strokes a double into the left field corner. So A's trying to get something going. It has been a quiet offensive afternoon for the A's. Just 3 hits, and they have struck out 13 times. So they're just trying to get themselves on the board. Good start here in the bottom of the 8th against the former A. Ryan Buchter.
Be able to just drop the head on a slider, trying to make its way down to the back foot.
We did mention briefly when we were talking about the A's roster that there's a ton of new rules out with the new collective bargaining agreement, and some of the rules that were put in by the Players Association and the owners after that was signed, sealed, and delivered. But an important one early on is the roster's expanding to 28 in the month of April. Of course, 26 is the normal number. But due to the shortened spring training, the two sides kind of put that together and decided the month of April, 28 is your roster size, and there's no limit on how many pitchers you can carry. You can carry all 29 if you want. It doesn't matter if you're 28.
Have at it.
So, and that's significant because on May 1st, when the rosters go back to 26, correct me if I'm wrong, but there is a limit on the amount of pitchers you can carry, and it's 13. Not everybody, GMs, managers, are real happy with that because they feel like Well, let us decide how we want to put together a roster. If we want to carry 15 pitchers, let us do that.
And I agree with you.
I kind of do as well. I mean, I like the 26 man. I think that's important. I like the 28 for the month of April, where you're trying to just get teams through. I'm good with that. But you are sort of telling them how to construct your roster when it goes back to 26.
Yeah, you're meddling is how I kind of look at that, you know. And you and I have had this talk, and we do not agree on it, and we will never agree on it. But bringing all 40 of your 40-man roster up in September, and I totally understand, you know, for the pace of the game, and I completely understand that. My stance on it has always been, it almost feels like punishment for a team who has really put an emphasis on cultivating viable talent at the big league level. Like, is it my fault that your organization isn't growing these pitchers or growing these extra position players that you could lean on in September, turning the corner into October? Why should I, as an organization, be punished for that? But to the point of the 17 game straight to start the season here, you're going to need those extra arms.
Yep.
But then after that, you're going to tell me, a big league organization, how I'm allowed to compete against other big league organizations?
Or maybe for a 2-week stretch, I may need 14 pitchers.
I just might.
Because we got a couple doubleheaders in 1 week, which the A's have in May.
Yes, they do.
They have a doubleheader against the Tigers on a Tuesday. They have a doubleheader against the Angels on a Saturday. Same week in May. So that's, I don't want to say controversial, that's not the right word, but that's been a kind of a talking point. Then in September, the rosters go back to 28. You can add 2 more onto the 26 in the month of September. So that something that's done for this year as far as the 28-man rosters in April. Normal spring training, that would not be the case. 2 on, nobody out for the A's against Ryan Buchter. This is Dermis Garcia. Garcia in the game at first base. Love that jersey.
There it is.
I don't know that I've seen a Fossey jersey in the Kelly green, but that is clean.
It looks good.
Deep left. Both runners tag, and they're going to make it. The Lopes goes to third. Drew Jackson, who walked, he goes to second.
Well, good job by both base runners. Tagging up. There it is.
A good-looking jersey. Yeah, that jersey's going to look good. Whose ever name you put on it, but it looks extra good with Ray's name on it.
We like it.
So a couple of runners in scoring position for the Athletics. This is Vince Fernandez, left-handed hitter. How you doing with your scorecard?
Well, I'm all caught up.
You are. That looks pretty good. Fernandez with a healthy cut. It really is more challenging announcing a spring training game. You wouldn't think so, right? What difference does it make?
No, it matters.
But it's hard to sit up here and announce a baseball game and not want to make sure you have everybody in the game.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you what's not hard. It's not hard to mess that up.
Yeah, I'm not sure that we're close to accurate.
We're in the ballpark.
Yeah, 80, 82%. which is a high mark for a spring training game. 2-1 to Fernandez. And now 3-1. Ryan Buchter.
Old friend of the program.
35 years old now is Buchter. 18 games for the Diamondbacks last year. That ball hit hard. It's going to be an RBI as Lopes comes in to score, give Vince Fernandez the RBI. And the A's are indeed on the board to make it 6-1 here in the bottom of the 8th. Jackson goes over to third. And here's Sheldon Noisy. An opening for Noisy on this team. See if he can take advantage. Noisy now 27 years old.
And one of those guys that, as I mentioned, club's already familiar with. Big league time here in Oakland. He can drive the baseball.
Powerful swing. He homered earlier this spring.
Yeah, back on the 24th.
Little lift in that swing.
Yeah, lefty Matt Moore, it looked like.
Last year with the Dodgers, played in 33 games, hit 3 home runs. His time with the A's came in 2019 at the big league level. He played in 25 games. Played some second base with the A's.
Yeah,
in that 2019 season.
Well, I love the strategy of just slapping on the old number 2-6, going out playing the hot corner.
See what Noisy gets on 3-1. Well, as hard as it's going to be to see Matt Chapman with the Blue Jays, Matt Olson with the Braves, Chris Bassett with the Mets, 3 terrific human beings, and we can do nothing but wish them the best in their careers, because I think all 3 of them are going to go on to continue their terrific big league careers.
I don't think there's any question.
Olson got the big contract, well deserved. Matt Chapman got a nice 2-year contract with the Blue Jays, which will lead him right up to his free agent time. I know you were very close with Chris Bassett. He's now sitting on a Mets team that has a terrific rotation. He can watch Scherzer and DeGrom the 2 nights before he pitches, which that's not so bad.
No, not a bad front row seat to have.
But we loved our time with Chris Bassett, one of the real good ones. Dry sense of humor. He was fun, wasn't he?
And a competitor.
A little cheer from the crowd. Youngster saw that ball go up on the roof and then trickle down, which usually ball sails right over the roof out into the parking lot. Another 3-2 to Noisy and another foul ball. So good battle here, Buchter and Noisy. There he is, psyched.
Oh, he's pumped. And he didn't walk away with it initially. But a round of applause for the fan who did end up with the foul ball.
He's got 2.
Saw the little fella.
He doubled up. He's got 2.
Oh, Oh, it's not his first rodeo then.
And Noisy, good at bat, ends with a walk. Buchter has thrown 26 pitches in this inning, and that's going to do it. And in spring training, a manager just hates to do this because you don't want to take a guy out in spring training, especially a reliever who's just trying to get that one inning in. But what you also do is you have to get another pitcher ready just to get out of this inning.
Yeah. Makes it tough.
So Scott Service out. Buster's been loosening up. I think he's ready if needed. He's thrown about 15 pitches out on the grassy knoll.
Well, it looks like he wants a clean inning. He's been working a lot from the windup.
See, I think it's important when you're warming up. Did you do this, Dallas? You're throwing pitches and then practice the tag when you get the ball, because you never know when you, as a pitcher, you may need to drop the swipe tag.
Maybe he's covering home in his mind. Every out counts, Kite.
New pitcher is Michael Striffler as he takes over for Buchter. Striffler's job is just to get Bethancourt, Christian Bethancourt here. Runners at the corners with 2 outs and a run in for the Athletics.
When as much as the manager hates to have to get that bullpen arm up here in spring training just to get yourself an out, really one of the best things you can do as the guy who's brought into that ball game, who's brought into that situation, is dial up strike 1, dial up strike 2, put him away with strike 3, and give that manager every reason to believe he was a genius for bringing you into this ball game.
Don't make me look bad.
That's it.
One and two the count to Bethancourt. It's his second at bat. He struck out in the 7th. Big bouncer, just foul.
Joke about that, Kite, but sometimes you get guys out there who, and rightfully so, are thinking, well, this is my time. This is when I can showcase. I might be a couple years away from the radar here of the big club, but if right now is an opportunity for me to show them my wipeout put away pitch, or show them that I could really dial it up and go get it with the fastball, what better time?
Lofted to center, and that will do it. A's get a run on the leadoff double. And Christian Lopez, 6-1 as we move to the 9th. Reached the 9th inning with the Mariners leading 6-1. So the A's will get one more shot. Kind of a quiet day for the Athletics. Not a whole lot for the A's fans in attendance today to cheer about. Mariners jumped out early with 3 runs in the very first inning, then another run in the second inning, so they've had the lead pretty much the whole game. But the best thing about spring training, and I always say it, it's Austin Pruitt is the new pitcher for the A's. But the greatest thing, Dallas, if you're a fan, you go to spring training, if your team wins, yeah, I like what they look good today. I like what I'm seeing. If your team loses, it's an exhibition game. It doesn't matter. Who cares? It's perfect. It's a win-win all the way around.
I was just going to say, that's what we call a win-win for fans. And that's what spring training should represent.
It's perfect. That's why everybody's in a good mood in spring training, because no matter what the outcome of the game is, you're going to leave the ballpark. You're going to feel good.
It's the land of optimism.
It sure is.
And I tell you, you find yourself a nice establishment to talk about the day's game afterward. Your team really can only start to get better as the night goes on when you think about it.
Oh, yeah. By 10 o'clock, you're winning the World Series.
That's
baby.
it. We're locked in.
Yep, that's what happens. So Austin Pruitt 32-year-old right-hander. He is jumped around just a little bit. 3 years with the Tampa Bay Rays. Last year in Miami, and just a little bit of time with the Houston Astros. So small amount of big league time. That ball is ripped into the bullpen, and that is gone. That is Dylan Moore, who played quite a bit last year for the Mariners. Bounces around different positions, and here in the 9th inning, he homers over the wall in right. Dylan Moore.
Well, just another name on this roster that seems to be getting a little deeper. Right-hander shoots it out to right field. Our man Buddy going to run out of room out there.
The batter for the Mariners, left fielder number 4, Billy Hamilton.
So the leadoff homer here in the 9th brings up Billy Hamilton. He goes after the first pitch, drives one to center. It's hit well, spinning around. And Pache, did he hold on? Yes, he did on the warning track. Billy Hamilton's almost to third base. But Pache went back, stumbled just a little bit, hung in there, and he made the catch. Squeezing that right hand just a little bit.
Well, this ball goes up, and we talk about the high sky out here in Arizona.
Yeah, he got that right hand caught underneath him just a little bit. Watch the right hand. Almost looks like he falls on it just a little bit.
Yeah, on his way down, going to brace himself, trying to break his fall.
So that is out number 1.
That could mean a day off for him tomorrow, just to be safe.
Well, he's playing the full 9 innings. I doubt, and I don't know this for sure, but I doubt that any A's player has played a full 9 innings in spring training so far. This is Tanner Kerwer, the hitter, left-handed hitter. Behind short, and that's the second out. Well, the National League or the American League West should be interesting as always. You just know the Astros are going to be there no matter who they lose, and they lost Carlos Correa, some other people. Still a good lineup when you look at their lineup.
Oh, no question.
Angels are going to score runs, I would guess, if everybody stays healthy. Do they have enough pitching? A's will play the Angels tomorrow over in Tempe. You have the Athletics and their situation. You have the Rangers, who spent a lot of money in the offseason.
Sure did. Feel like they got better.
Yeah. And you have these Seattle Mariners, who are absolutely convinced they're a postseason team. Diving attempt. He almost had it. Did noisy, but just came up a little short. And that's a hit for Toro. But what do you see when you look at that AL West? We know all about the A's. We've talked about the other 4 teams.
Well, that's, I think for me, thinking about what the Rangers have done, sort of gearing up, they put themselves in the conversation for, in my opinion, a threat to the division. And, you know, it's tough because you never want to count teams out, and you also, in the same breath, don't want to just hand anybody the division at the same time either. But to the point of the Anaheim Angels and you saying that they're going to score run, I believe that. And I really do think, and hey, we're not talking about anything that people don't understand themselves. The Angels made it very apparent where they needed to get better just by virtue of the draft. Every player they selected was a pitcher. So it almost felt like they said, okay, we hear you, fans. We hear you, baseball. This is kind of something that has to be done here. We've got to make that move. And should the pitching be able to step up and give that offense an opportunity for a 2-run ball game here or there to stand up, I think the Angels season looks a heck of a lot different than it did last year. And you always have to think about what a healthy lineup means as opposed to guys coming in and out of the line. They're going to have Rendon, a healthy Ohtani, all together, a healthy Mike Trout. That calf's better.
Well, I thought it was really interesting when you talk about those 3 names you just mentioned and the injury situation, but Trout, Ohtani, and Rendon, 3 of the best offensive players in all of baseball. They were together in the Angels lineup only 17 times last year.
That's tough.
So think about if you can have those guys in the lineup 100 times, think of the difference that would make. Strike 3 called. Good breaking ball from Pruitt. Home run by Dylan Moore. Last shot for the A's, bottom of the 9th. The Mariners lead 7-1.
Opening day tickets start at just $15.
How much?
Just 15. $15. Opening night.
You keep throwing out those good deals.
I think it's going to be a great night.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to getting back to the Coliseum.
That's it.
They spruced up our broadcast booth a little bit thanks to David Renetti, Vice President of Stadium Operations. We thank David for that.
That's what I hear.
He's in charge. So he thought it was a good idea to clean up our booth a little bit.
Nice little facelift. Never hurt nobody.
Yeah. Well, the fact that we were still using Monty Moore's chair, it was probably time to update a little bit. And it's very comfortable, but it, you know, Monty came with the team in '68.
Here comes the time.
Thought it was probably that time. So we get a spruced up broadcast booth, which we're very excited about. It's the little things that get us going.
It is.
Wyatt Mills is the new pitcher for Seattle, trying to get the final 3 outs. He's facing Dalton Kelly. Kelly is playing left field in the game now. He does also play first base, as we mentioned earlier. There's that little frisbee slider that you see from guys that drop down on the side.
Well, no, he looks a little lower than a Paul Sewald, who is very tough to pick up.
And then you put a little movement running away on a fastball, and Kelly strikes out. So the A's have struck out 14 times today.
Well, that right there is just about creating an intersection on the outside part of the plate. This is what we're talking about. Looks like he's going to drop down and come from the shoe tops on you. But not quite that far down. Little side slinger.
Pache gets his 4th at bat in the game, and he flies out. So he's 0 for 4 on the afternoon. Hit a couple balls hard. Our first look at Christian Pache. Be the most well-known and highest rated prospect the A's got in the Matt Olson trade from the Atlanta Braves. And with Ramon Laureano missing the first month and then some, Pache certainly has an opportunity to be the A's starting center fielder in Philadelphia on opening day. Buddy Reed goes after the first pitch. This may do it, and it will. So a Sunday afternoon under beautiful weather conditions. It's all Mariners this afternoon as they defeat the Athletics by a final score of 7-1. We did see Frankie Montas get his start today, but quiet offense day for the Athletics, and that offense is going to have to get rolling when you get some of those regulars back in the lineup.
What I think is that starts to happen, Kipe, you get more of those regulars, some regular everyday opportunities together here. Those kind of things really start to shake themselves out. I think Frankie will take that last inning of his outing and build on that. And frankly, I'm just happy to be back in a booth at the ballpark. Can't wait for the next time.
Boy, ain't that the truth. And as we said during the telecast, Dallas, there are a fair amount of questions for this A's roster, and these questions need to be answered fairly quickly.
Well, this is the era of the opportunity, as we have talked about, and I see nothing but opportunity abound for everybody down in that dugout and in that clubhouse. It's going to be an exciting year. I can't wait.
Final score, Padres 7, A's 1. Next game will be next Sunday, April 3rd, against the San Diego Padres. We'll have it for you right here at NBC Sports, California. For our producer, Delaire LaWars, our director, Mike Bird, and my broadcast partner, Dallas Braden, I'm Glenn Kuiper saying so long from Mesa, Arizona. Final score, Padres 7,